everybody. Welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is day 0, part 2, I would say, of our E3 2016 coverage podcast. Yesterday we attended we covered the EA and Bethesda press conferences on our last discussion. Today it was all about Microsoft, Ubisoft, and Sony, which we will talk about all of that stuff. My name's Nick Anderson. Obviously, I'm joined by Christopher Guthridge.
Hey, what's up?
Tim Lee.
Hello.
Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
Christopher Davis.
Good evening.
We are all here in LA for the event, and we're very excited. Tomorrow is the first day of the show floor. Today was the last day of press conferences, and
for the most part, there's one more
press conference, quote unquote, in the morning.
I wouldn't call that a conference, honestly.
Nintendo will be doing a stream tomorrow morning of Zelda. So, God damn it, Crispy. So we'll
Don't touch my drink.
Oh man, what is happening over here?
Right about the mixer.
All right. So, focus, people, focus. We have a lot to talk about before we can get through to the stuff we really want to talk about, which is Sony.
Mm-hmm. Oh shit! Yeah, there was other stuff today.
There was other stuff today to talk about besides Sony. We need to just get through that as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Our plans tonight on the stream is to talk about Microsoft, talk about Ubisoft, talk a shit about Sony, and then if it's possible, we're gonna try and stream out the demo of Resident Evil 7, which is apparently available now.
And everywhere but America.
Everywhere but America. We're waiting. We're refreshing. We're waiting, and hopefully, if it's made available before the end of the podcast, we'll download it and we'll play it. Even if we don't have it today, we'll get it. We'll broadcast it sometime tomorrow. After the show floor closes. But the point is, expect to see the Resident Evil 7 demo. We're all very excited. So, let's go ahead and start from the top with Microsoft. It was the first thing that happened this morning. We did not attend the Microsoft conference.
Thankfully.
Nor did we attend the Ubisoft conference.
Thankfully.
But we did attend Sony.
Yep.
And that was good.
So let's start with Microsoft.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
I did. Okay, we can talk about, if anyone wants to squeeze in the PC gaming stuff, yes, we can talk about PC gaming. I don't really have notes on PC gaming.
Yeah, we didn't watch that one, unfortunately.
I watched a little bit of it, and just some minor details, but we can go over that later.
Okay, well, we'll cover all that. Anyways, let's talk about Microsoft.
Okay.
They opened their press conference this morning with Gears of War 4.
Yep.
How do we feel about Gears of War 4, everybody?
Meh.
God, no.
I don't know. It might be good.
Okay, anything might be good. So, watching this, so I was kind of excited about the prospect of a new Gears of War kind of set with a different alien species and a different set of characters and all that stuff. But then watching this demo this morning, and maybe it's just not one of those cases where they just chose a really poor sequence to demo. But I was watching that and I was like, it reminded me that I really am not a huge fan of Gears of War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really put my finger on why. I think someone here said something about the voice acting.
It seems subpar.
Well, the new characters seem just kind of even more generic than they were before.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've never gotten on board to the Gears of War franchise. I tried with 2. I think I tried to get into it. I got like a free copy of it from something, and I tried, and it's just not my scene for some reason. I don't know.
I think a lot of it has to do with the way the game feels.
Yeah.
It is kind of a very...
dude, bro.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about like the way the character feels, the way
feels
the
like a dude, bro.
shooting feels.
Yeah.
It's not really my cup of tea.
I mean, there was never any, blatant problem with Gears of War, but you're right, it doesn't really stand out in any significant way. Like the most interesting thing about it is they have chainsaws on their guns, which gets kind of old.
Which
right?
really hasn't been...
I still think about what Gears of War was like when they first announced it and they were first talking about it, when it was much more of like a horror game almost.
Yeah.
Where it the whole game was about staying in the light, not going into the darkness. It almost felt like a sci-fi shooter based on like Pitch Black.
Yeah.
And then that kind of just became a level in the first Gears of War, you know?
Yeah. And honestly, the first demo they showed of Gears of War 4 last year felt more like that. There was this big wind, there was on this alien planet, there was this big storm. It was very dark. It was like lightning flashing, like that, and it felt almost creepy like that. And this was very much more like a dude bro. I mean, it was kind of like another environment was with bad weather, and
Yeah.
and they were trying to get across this chasm, and there was some guy in like a minigun shooting at him, and it just
they're
felt
really pushing their weather this time around.
yeah. I mean, they obviously have some new tech or something that's making it easier for.
Well, yeah, but the last year's demonstration was about a freaking tornado thing that was going around, and this time we have another fucking tornado.
Yeah.
Do you need to move that mic?
You muted it.
Oh
Hold on.
well, I'm
Just do what you got to do.
I'm just trying to position it.
I understand, but
Yeah.
okay.
anyways, sorry, you muted the mic for a second.
Oh.
Anyways, I don't know. Gears of War 4. I'm still very much on like the fence about it because it's an Xbox One
Like
exclusive.
definitely, and that I always, whenever I see an Xbox One exclusive, I
In the
don't want
wild.
to say I get excited, but I'm like, maybe this will be it. Maybe this will be the game that I finally get for my Xbox One.
Right.
But then I don't want to buy a game just because it's only on Xbox One.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be the criteria. I want it to be a good game. And so far, there haven't been any games that I'm like, yes, I want to play that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think this Gears of War was like horrible. I think if you're a fan of the series, it's something to be excited about, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't really see it like winning over that many new fans.
I think it's probably something I'll end up playing.
Yeah, but
honestly.
it looks like a lot more of the same. I mean, the two new things we got basically were, fire gets affected by weather, and we got basically a ricocheting saw blade, which
Yeah.
looks just like a Dead Space weapon.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That
Even
was
the
straight-
cursor looks like a Dead Space weapon.
That was straight out of Dead Space. So there is another Xbox One exclusive we can kind of jump to, which I think I have my feelings are a little bit on the other side of the spectrum, which is Recore.
Yeah.
Recore looks pretty cool.
And just to point out to everyone, evidently all the first-party Microsoft titles are going to be both Xbox and
PC.
So,
except
Yeah.
for Gears, right?
Almost everything they
think
announced
Gears too.
today was Xbox and PC, and it was their whole cross-platform or not. What do they call it?
crossplay.
Cross.
Xbox Anywhere. Or something
Yeah,
like that?
Xbox Anywhere.
Xbox
something,
Anywhere.
Yeah, something like that. So and I think that's a really interesting concept. And the only reason I would want to play games on my Xbox One for the sheer fact, what's up, Nick?
The table feels like it's shaking.
That's probably me. 'Cause I have my elbows on it.
Someone's shaking
Oh.
their leg, probably.
Gotcha. Sorry.
One of the big things when it comes to me and buying games is I'm like, well, I want to get this on PC, but all my friends are going to get on PlayStation or whatever, and so the ability to pick up a game on my PC and then it's also go anywhere, but also if you buy it for one system, you can play it on either, and the game will transfer to either. So
Yeah.
if I buy Gears of War on PC, or I guess Gears of War is a bad example, if I buy Scalebound on PC and I'm really enjoying it, but one of my friends is playing it on Xbone and I want to jump into his game, I could boot mine up, play my game, download the save from the cloud, and just jump right into the game with him. And that's the only fucking thing that I actually like about the Xbone and the PC kind of, first of all, cross-buy and the
You
cross-play.
do have to have Windows 10.
That's true.
I mean,
But you know
that's-
what? I'm gonna be honest. And this is not really a tech podcast or anything like that, but I have downloaded Windows 10, and I am happier with it than I thought I would be.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone here has had the same experience, but it has not been.
I think probably because
A
it wasn't
negative
forced
experience
down
for
your throat, maybe.
No, it was.
Yeah.
It was
okay.
forced down my
Yeah.
throat.
So Nick just likes it that way.
And then I was just like, it's really not that bad. I'll just keep
Nick
it.
was like, not like this.
he just squeezed his fist.
Not like
That's-
this. Not like.
All right.
Aw. Speaking of which, we saw that. Never mind.
Okay. Yep.
Never
Yep. Nope. Nope. Anyway.
Well, what else? But the Recore, it looked sweet.
Yes.
It looks like it's gonna be a good
Platformer.
platformer with the combat style of say Beyond Good and Evil, or like combat's actually fun and interesting, but not the main drive. You still want to explore.
Yeah.
You still want to find things, like almost like collectathon maybe.
Yeah. So, and I think that'll be playable. I'm pretty excited for that.
We were introduced to a whole lot new characters.
So Jewel is the main character.
Correct.
right?
Yes.
What was the dog's name?
Joule.
remember any of the robots' names.
Max? Mac?
I bet someone in chat remembers.
Mac.
Yeah, it's Mac.
Yeah, it was Mac.
Yeah, I was
Jewel Mac.
almost right.
So we have Jewel and Mac. Is the dog character, a robot character, and then obviously it seems to suggest that you're going to get other robots that you'll be switching. the
Correct. And
colors.
I can't remember the name of the new one that we were introduced to, but the spider thing, that looked fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like you were using it to like fling yourself across the world and grapple to things and climb up. That seemed really cool.
I'm really hoping there's a good playable demo of that on the floor because I want to check that out
And
for sure.
did we see that Recore was confirmed to be $40?
$40.
Yeah, I don't think we saw that. I think Bob brought that up
brought
from
that up.
he knows somebody that was talking
is it gonna
about
get
it.
a retail release at that?
It does.
price point?
It does.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
is. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
But I do like that games coming out. Game doesn't have to be $60.
No,
It really
they
doesn't.
don't.
it's nice to see a big budget title that's not 60.
Well,
for
you
once,
know, Microsoft's in a position where
whatever they can get.
they need every advantage they can
You know
get.
what really sucks? I feel so. Sony. We'll talk about Sony in a bit, and Sony had a really, really good showing. And I feel like Microsoft really didn't hold a candle to Sony's, but I feel like their presence, their showcase would have been much better had 90% of it not leaked just prior to
That
it.
is true.
Yeah.
Everything that we saw, we knew.
Most of
pretty much knew it was
most
gonna
of
be there.
everything that we saw at the Microsoft event, we had learned about maybe an hour or two prior to the event.
That was
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Scalebound for a second?
Yes.
Can we
Yes,
talk about
we should.
Scalebound?
Sure.
Okay.
We have to talk about Scalebound.
Because I mean that trailer or the gameplay demo that they showed,
Not the best.
I wasn't feeling it.
No, I
I wasn't
wasn't
feeling
either.
it.
So
and it's especially kind of upsetting because the last time we saw like a decent gameplay demo of Scalebound, it looked really cool.
Okay,
it looked
so-
exciting. It looked fun.
So was the demo that I saw at PAX Prime last year? Has that been made public yet? I can't remember where he's actually like flying from
I
one
haven't.
on to the next.
I don't think so. I haven't seen it yet.
I can't remember
Not
if they
sure.
made that public or not. So the demo I saw was a completely different. It was a completely different representation.
Mm-hmm.
It was open. It was combat out in a big open space. There was a dragon. There was a bunch of enemies around. You were fighting. You were running around like Devil May Cry style, fighting dudes. Your dragon was in the fray.
I think that was made
You were
public.
giving commands.
Yeah, I'm
and then
pretty
at
sure
the
that was
very
made
end,
public.
He jumped on the dragon's back and they flew to an island and fought more dudes. And that was really cool. Today they decided, much like Final Fantasy 15, they decided to show off
A single boss
a
fight.
single boss fight.
Yeah.
Which
The biggest boss fight they've ever done.
it was like
so
they were trying
said.
to top each other with who has the bigger boss fight in the game, which is completely missing the point. And I think both of those demos fell flat, which is a shame because I think everything outside of those demos actually so far looks really impressive. So,
I mean, it's
Like-
just it managed to take things that looked so cool before and make it look like even just like flying around on the dragon didn't look that
yeah.
fun.
Well, all he
it didn't
did
look
was-
that cool.
Well,
Like,
half the demo, he didn't even try to like sell it. Half of it is him just either shooting arrows or shooting from the dragon.
oh my
house.
god,
So-
there's something so fucking anticlimactic about having all these awesome swords and dragons and weapons, and he's just sitting there with a dinky little bow, just like, like I can't even get a sense of how effective that
Well, so
weapon is.
there's damage numbers in the game, and you saw that other people were shooting fireballs from their dragons and doing like 200 damage, and this guy was doing like 7 damage with
If
his
you're gonna do a
bow.
co-op demo like that with like 4 different dragons and 4 different sets of abilities, why not show those?
Why
off,
not
switch
show
off
each
between
one? Switch
characters?
between the characters. And the thing that sucked about this one was, like you said, it showed off the dragons and the dragon flying, but they were in like a cave thing, so it was very enclosed. So anytime you saw the dragon flying, he was like kind of hovering over, just right above the ground. There wasn't any kind of like, there wasn't a whole lot happening. I mean, I guess there was the one event when like the dragon swooped down and like kicked him up to a higher level or something like that.
Yeah, which looked painful,
yeah.
by the way.
But yeah, I don't think it was a very good representation of what the game is.
It wasn't. I don't think any of us here are alone. I think a lot of people out there felt that.
None of us
same
are
way.
saying the game's a piece of shit.
I'm wondering.
We're just saying that we
no,
didn't.
no, we're
it
saying
didn't-
that demo sucked.
Yeah.
It didn't bring up our hype at all.
And
Like,
if anything, it just
didn't
kind of like
stroke our-
diminished my hype a little bit.
It didn't stroke our hype boners. Hey, you want to refresh that and just see if maybe it's showing up yet?
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a fine game, but like,
Yeah,
God,
and you know what?
that just-
Maybe the demo, maybe a different demo will be playable on the show floor. I'm really hoping maybe they go with something a little bit more
it's not what you hope
representative.
to see.
So yeah, we'll hopefully bring more information about Scalebound before the end of the week is over.
It's definitely something I'm hyped for, and now that I've learned that I can play it cross-platform, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm getting it. It was kind of, it doesn't matter. I can get. It doesn't matter which one I
yeah,
get it
you
for.
can get it
PC
on
release still
PlayStation.
not
Or PC.
confirmed.
No, it's
No,
confirmed.
they,
it's
they
confirmed,
said
yeah.
in the press conference it was
Yeah.
going to be one of those PlayStation or Xbox
Okay.
Anywhere.
Pretty much every
Titles,
first-party
yeah.
title
Like
they showed off
I
was
think
cross-
I think
Oh, yeah.
98%
Remember we
of
were
what they
talking
showed
about-
today was
we were talking about that a while ago on the podcast. How like the Xbone is officially done
Yeah.
because all of their big exclusive titles are also on Windows now.
Sure.
It's a little disappointing that like that was the one thing I was really excited for Xbox, and I walked away feeling like Inside did a better job of hyping me than that did. And the trailer for Inside nothing happens.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, that is true. That is
Like,
true.
I forgot that demo even happened.
Yeah.
Or that trailer.
Trailer
It was
for it,
literally
yeah.
just a camera slowly panning through like a really boring office environment with like all these like drone like workers walking around doing things,
Which
which
I can
just
appreciate showing off the art style, but show us some fucking gameplay.
I mean, that's almost same thing as like when they first showed Limbo. You didn't really see a whole lot. It was just kind of like a shadow of a kid.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Nobody's saying the inside sucks.
Yeah,
We're just
yeah,
saying it was a very subdued. Like you can't even we don't even know what Inside's about, and we're more excited about it
That's true. That's true.
than the demo for Scalebound made us.
Yep.
So nobody's saying anything bad about Inside. We're saying that Scalebound did not show well.
Correct.
Yeah.
But yes, Inside
maybe
still
it'll show
very
better on the show floor.
still very interest peaked from that.
None of the live demos at Microsoft were particularly good. Come to think of it.
And I did want to bring up, they do have what I had to admit. I wish PlayStation would do this. They have custom colored controllers. I would buy that.
That was cool.
You can engrave it. Unfortunately, Nolan, there is a word filter. You cannot have dick butt.
no dick butt.
I didn't want the word dick butt. I wanted them to engrave a picture of dick butt.
Right.
I mean, I guess I could just do that myself.
That is
I
the
don't
proper
think-
spelling
I
of
don't
dick
thi-
butt. Is just a picture.
It's a picture of dick
Yes,
butt.
exactly.
I don't think you can type that into a keyboard either.
It's tough,
you
but
can try
if
pretty
you know
hard.
what you're doing.
I do like that concept, and we talked about it a little bit earlier today. But I customization is something that a lot of users do themselves, but they can risk kind of fucking it up, or it doesn't look as good. And if for a small nominal fee and a time to wait, kind of like, hey, put in your order and you'll get it in 2 weeks or something like that. Why have they not done this before? Like, this seems like a no fucking brainer that they can make more money selling custom controllers. It's like we talked about the fact that, when PSPs and Vitas in Japan come out in different colors, but they don't come out in America because they never sell very well. Well, don't make it until it's ordered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's
made
not
to
very
order.
hard.
I mean, there's a ton of third parties out there that will buy generic Xbox or PlayStation controllers, and then you go on there and you customize the way you want, and they just fucking ship it to you.
And PlayStation has the perfect place to put it right on, the touchpad.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So why don't we talk? I don't remember at what point during the conference. I think they did this pretty early in the show, where they actually talked about
Oh, that was almost the very beginning.
So
The Xbox Slim or Xbox S, Xbox One S.
One S.
That was the first thing they showed was the Xbox.
the X
One
Bones.
S.
yeah,
Xbox.
Xbox.
X-Bones.
Yeah.
And now there
which is
are
about
X Bones.
40%
Didn't
smaller.
you fight Captain America?
Yep.
Crossbones,
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right.
40% smaller.
I forgot.
Yeah. And
X and cross,
no
yeah.
power brick, apparently. It's internal.
Actually, he killed Captain America too.
Okay.
Spoiler alert! If you haven't been around for like 9 years.
Which, I mean, with the power brick now being, all the power being internal, I kind of worry about cooling, especially since it's smaller. But,
Well, hopefully they have that covered.
Yeah,
before
I'm sure that there could be an increase in the sound coming from the fan to cool the system.
It sounds like that.
Yep,
So
that's
this-
exactly what it is.
So this model, not to be confused with the other model we'll talk about down the road, is just a slimmer Xbox One standard model.
That was fine.
$299 out when
$299 for the 500 gig, $349 for a 1 terabyte, and $399 for a 2 terabyte.
Yeah.
They're selling a 2 terabyte
which is the
version.
current pricing on Xboxes right now.
Correct.
So
So
this is just replacing that.
yep,
Um,
available for pre-order now.
yeah.
So
but
don't
you
buy
know,
an Xbone right
but you know
now.
what? It looks slick. If you don't have an Xbone and you're actually thinking about getting an Xbone, I would wait.
The controller has subtle upgrades, like it's actually Bluetooth now instead of Xbox proprietary wireless.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it said in the
It's
fucking
both.
trailer.
It's both.
Because they finally realized that they ain't gonna get anywhere like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's slick. It's white. Everyone seems to be into the white.
It probably has the improved bumpers.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I forgot. All Xbones aren't white. Mine's white.
Yeah, yours is.
Most
Mine's
of them
not.
are. Black.
I got the Sunset Overdrive one, so mine is already white.
Yeah.
Which is a really nice looking console. It looks nice on a shelf when all the other consoles are black.
And so, speaking of Xbones, towards the end of the show, they announced Xbox Scorpio.
Project Scorpio.
Project
Yeah.
Scorpio.
So this is
Scorpio.
becoming a trend where
But
they start announcing things before they even have real names.
Yeah, correct. And so the weird thing is about this, they showed like a 5-minute trailer of them talking about how great this new thing is. and they don't even show it. They just talk about how great it is.
They said
Yeah.
coming next holiday.
Correct. Holiday 2017.
Which
So-
is way later than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's a year and a half from now.
I was actually
almost.
expecting
It's-
it would be out like today.
But the weird thing is they're like, oh, this thing's great. It can do this. It can do this. It can do this. Also, here's a new version of Xbone. Like, why would I?
No, here, check this out too. I saw this on Twitter right before we started, but apparently we missed it. But Jeff Keighley was interviewing Shannon Loftus, who is the head of publishing
Okay.
for Microsoft Xbox, right? He tried to get her to commit to saying that there will be no Scorpio exclusives. She wouldn't do it.
Of course.
She wouldn't do it. So this is like just a fucking new console. Like,
Pretty
this
much.
is not an Xbox
No,
One.
it also goes to what their statement is that all accessories will be compatible across all Xbox.
They did say
Xbox
that.
but
One
they never
family.
said games.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. and
Okay.
This is just me being a little bit devil's advocate
Sure.
here. We've talked about people are really uncomfortable buying another Xbox One that's just more powerful. Would it be better if it was just a straight up do-over, like there's new console, just straight up? Like,
Sure,
so,
but-
like,
but would
keep your
that-
Xbox One, it still plays
Maybe.
Xbox One games,
Maybe.
but this is a new console altogether.
Except that this new console will also play Xbox One. So if you don't have an Xbox One right now, there is absolutely no reason to buy one before
This guy.
next holiday.
Sure.
Like why? Because that's what I'm saying. They open their show by announcing, "Hey, we have this great new version of the Xbox. It runs better. It's smaller. Blah blah blah. Oh, also in about a year from now, you're going to be getting a much better console."
Which, by the way,
Yeah.
they are
If
touting,
you drop the $300 right now, get ready to drop it again plus some next year.
yeah.
by the way, they are touting this internally as what they think is the most powerful console ever.
Nick, it has 6 teraflops.
Yeah.
6.
Unlimited creativity and
6
play.
the
teraflops.
best pixels.
The best pixels.
Yeah,
They're really proud of their terraforms.
Great water. It has great
Great
water.
water.
Great water. By the way, the Sea of Thieves demo, I know people were a little meh on it. I thought it looked kind of
Was that
cool.
a Microsoft or
Yes, that was
Ubisoft?
Microsoft.
That was
Okay, I
that was
couldn't remember.
Microsoft.
Okay, I couldn't
That was
remember.
Microsoft.
That's rare.
That's Rare's next game.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
thought it
yeah.
looked kind of cool. We still don't know like exactly what it is. If it's kind of like a smaller instant multiplayer experience, or if it's an MMO or what. They showed like 3 crews of pirates with like 4 people each on them.
Correct.
So it's
All
12 people.
YouTubers.
That's not crazy, but. I don't know, it could be cool if it has more than just like, hey, shoot
Pirate
cannons
ships,
at
yeah.
another ship.
And-
It might be worth checking out.
So yeah, they unfortunately it suffers from them showing how great this game is that you don't know what it is. Like it's kind of they showed all these different scenes. Oh, like look, there's ship combat and your ship can sink, and so you have to patch up the holes, and or you can't see through the sail, so maybe someone has to direct you while you're at the helm. But then still, like you're saying, like that's all they showed. Like they showed people on an island, like walking around drinking mead, and there were some houses and stuff.
They got
Yeah.
drunk. Yeah.
But
They're
Yeah,
showing,
there's one
they're
dude got
showing
drunk,
some gameplay mechanics, but they're not explicitly showing purpose of play, like
Correct.
what you are going to do.
Right.
The full,
And
the
that's
full-
that's what we talked about. Is I would really hope it would be kind of a I don't know what I would want from it if I want it to be like a match based thing or just like a straight up open world, because I don't understand how an open world would really work with like unless it's like just completely open. But like maybe you have your crew and you go around and you plunder some places and you get treasure and you have to get it back to your base and someone can attack you. But still, like once again, I don't understand the drive at this point of the game.
Yeah, I mean, right now it like we were talking about earlier, it kind of has a Skies of or
No,
Wings
or-
of Icarus or what's it?
Guns of Icarus.
Guns of Icarus.
Yeah.
God damn it!
You
I
got
can never
it.
remember
You
what it's
got
called. It kind of has a Guns of Icarus vibe to it, but Guns of Icarus is a straight up like competitive like matched multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, so I mean, but there's obviously a little more going on in this game besides just that combat match.
But I would
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe
I would question: is it strictly 100% multiplayer, or can you play the single player?
I highly doubt you could play it
Because
single
one
player.
of the things they were showing was that the guy who was piloting
That's
the
what I was
ship,
saying. You can't see through the sails of the ship.
Yeah.
right. I mean, I would expect that this is going to be a strictly, if not heavily, multiplayer experience.
I think that's what they're going for.
Or heavily,
They
if not
also,
strictly.
I guess, I just want to bring up because nobody else probably cares. They confirmed that Dead Rising 4 is a thing.
They did.
They did. They did.
Which I'll be honest, I don't want to sit here and tell you I don't care about it. I don't really care much for the series in general. I don't, out of all the zombie games we have now, I feel like it's kind of the least impressive.
I will add that I also don't care about Dead Rising.
But, it takes a lot to get my attention with zombie games these days. But
Well, that's only because there's so fucking many zombie
Yes.
things in just all of media now.
But we don't really have a good zombie Christmas game yet.
Correct.
Eh.
And I was really digging the whole Christmas vibe. The tone
Yeah, I
of
mean, it was
That's-
kind of
that's cool.
cutesy that he had a candy cane crossbow, but I mean, like,
Even more than that,
Is that really
I think,
a hook?
I think this game showed a lot of promise.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of one of those things where I've played Dead Rising 1 and 3. I don't know if I ever played 2, maybe a little bit. But they never really caught my attention. Like, I was like, these are fun. But I mean, like, I think just from what it showed, it has a lot more potential for fun to be had. You know, it showed the candy cane, like, crossbow or whatever. And it showed, like, the zombie hopper, where you're driving around and you suck zombies up into the machine and then launch them out. Stuff like that. It showed, like, the fucking Triceratops head that breathes fire.
That was cool.
Yeah, I think this could be a lot of fun in the world.
that was cool.
Yeah.
But I have the same feelings about it as I do Gears of War, in that if you're already a fan of the series, there's a reason to be excited. If not, I really don't know that this is going to be the one to hook you, like to bring you in.
I bet you that's playable on the show floor.
I would assume so.
So tomorrow we'll know everything on the show floor. So we'll get the lay of the land tomorrow morning. So hopefully that'll be an opportunity for us to play that.
I wanted to bring up another game
This one I wanted to bring up as well.
that
Is it
we
the same one.
briefly saw, very briefly.
Was it?
State of Decay 2.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No, that's
Yes.
another
that
one.
we very
That is-
briefly.
that
saw.
was good.
Very brief, but probably the highlight of that conference for me. I'm a huge State of Decay fan. We love
we're
Undead
all.
Lab. Yeah, we love Undead Labs. They're great people.
Good people, good games.
I played through the game on Xbox, and then I got it when they had the Year 1 edition, and I played through that, and I played through even the DLC, and I love that game. And we were watching the demo, or we were watching what they showed, the trailer, and we were like, this looks like State of Decay. And then we saw the guy open the car door, and we're like, it's definitely State of Decay. But then we saw the other car door open, which kind of confirmed, they did confirm that it's multiplayer.
Right.
yeah.
So co-op, and that's
were
one of the
three-
things.
there were
Yes,
three
there were
characters
3
there.
people there. I don't know if that's the limit or whatever, but that's one of the biggest things that State of Decay was lacking, was any sort of co-op, any sort of multiplayer or anything. And I think I would have a lot of fun exploring that world, because in the game you can run around with AI partners, but they
Yeah.
were always shit. They always caused issues,
For sure.
and that's why I could have so much more fun. I
Guys, we
think.
could have such fun community nights with that shit.
Yes, and I want to know how far it can go. You know, like, is it almost Rust-esque where you can build up communities and stuff? Or
I mean, it
is-
kind of looked like that in the trailer, didn't it?
in the original game, yeah, you could find settlements and build them up and make them stronger. I don't know to what extent this game will have it, because once again, we very briefly saw it. The thing was, it was 3 people, and then you saw a flare go off, and they went to go that way. So maybe that was a
other people,
4th.
right?
Maybe that was more people they were going to help them out. So I don't know. Like, once again, very brief what we saw, but very exciting. Just because State of Decay is so fucking awesome.
Oh, so just so everybody knows, one of our chatters has provided us with a spreadsheet of every single game that's been revealed today,
Oh, wonderful.
and it's pretty comprehensive.
That's pretty good. That's helpful. So let's see what we haven't covered here. Is this Distrotor? Is that who sent this?
Yes.
Thank you, Distrotor, for your very well documented spreadsheet here. They talked about Gwent,
Yes, they did bring up Gwent, the card game. Yep.
which looks a lot like Gwent from the game.
Yeah, I don't really
it's
know what
Gwent.
to say
I mean,
about it.
it is Gwent,
It's
yeah.
coming to PC and consoles. When did they say?
I don't remember.
They were going to have closed beta.
Yeah,
Oh,
closed beta later
at the
this
end of
year.
this
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. We didn't see a whole lot.
I would imagine it's going to be like Hearthstone. It's going to be free to play, and you can either earn or pay for booster packs to get more
Probably.
cards.
Yeah.
So before
Nothing too crazy.
I don't want to get too
there.
far off State of Decay. Apparently, so Zelgun in chat says Brad was poo-pooing on multiplayer for State of Decay earlier.
Yeah, Brad poo poos on a lot of things.
Multiplayer
What the
for
fuck,
State
Brad?
of Decay?
What the
Brad has probably already poo-pooed on Scalebound. It doesn't.
No,
he just,
no, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't.
No,
He's such
he
a-
has
You don't
not.
understand. Like Brad is poo-pooing everyone who didn't like that demo. He was on Twitter. Like, yeah, he was.
He was.
yeah,
No, he acknowledged.
Anyway.
He acknowledged a lackluster demo.
Let's
He was
not
staunchly
poo-poo
poo-pooing
on
the game.
and he was being kind of a dick to you if you weren't aware about the whole.
Let's not poo poo on Brad when he's
What
not
was the
here
other
to
one?
defend
it's
himself.
okay. I don't follow him on Twitter anyway. It's okay.
He was talking about something else, and he kind of fucking threw some shade your way.
Oh man, what is
I
that?
don't
Oh, all right. What are we doing next?
There were a
Halo
few
Wars
others.
2.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Wait, real quick. Forza
Okay.
Horizon 3.
Yeah.
I was like, oh look, kangaroos. This looks colorful and nice and
It
happy.
did look really beautiful.
And then suddenly cars.
Yep.
Fucking cars.
Please don't drive your Lamborghini on the ocean.
Yeah, that's a very bad idea to drive a Lamborghini in the sand. You probably shouldn't ever do
Or
that.
really anywhere. Just don't drive your Lamborghini.
No,
Just
no,
keep it in the
pavement.
garage.
Pavement's a good place to drive it, but that's about it. Period. I don't know. None of us here are into Forza games, or
I didn't really want to talk about
the
Forza.
only driving games I will play are Need for Speed and like Burnout because those can be fun. Other than that, meh.
Okay,
Tekken 7?
there is one he left off the list here.
Oh, what?
Distrotor. My game of conference for Microsoft up until Sony was probably my highlight of the show so far, and that is We Happy Few.
Oh,
very
definitely.
true.
We
Yeah.
Happy Few from Compulsion Games, the makers, the developers of Contrast,
Yep.
which was a game with really cool visual
A lot
style,
of potential.
a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But this game looks so rad. It looks like
Yes.
BioShock. It actually looks like a horror, like a really
creepy-
colorful, like
Yeah.
happy horror game,
Yeah.
which is a really cool contrast.
It's kind of one of those things where most horror games, the way they get you is it's dark and you can't see anything, and it's
Yeah.
the fear of the unknown that scares you. But this game is bright and colorful, and everyone's smiling.
And there's this really creepy vibe of like, just take your pills and you'll be happy. And
what
like,
are the pills called?
Joy.
Yeah,
Joy.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, one guy decides, I'm not going to take these pills. And then he starts to kind of like break down, and he starts to see things. And then he realizes, like, this family's celebrating like a birthday party, and they had a pinata. I'm like, hit
I
the
called it.
pinata.
I
And he started
called
hitting
it.
the pinata, and all of a sudden, hit the pinata, blood goes everywhere, and he sees what the pinata really is, and it's like, I guess it was like a giant rat or something that
some
like,
sort of creature.
some
yeah.
kind of live living creature they had just beat the shit out of. It wasn't really a pinata. But he's seeing it for what it really is. But if you take the happy pills, you see
But
it as a pinata.
the thing is, like
Like,
before,
that's
you see all the
fucking
people
nuts.
like reaching for the candy and like,
They're like
going-
cramming in their mouths.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they were like
eating it and
eating
stuff.
pieces of
Yeah.
it. And everyone's saying like, oh, it kind of looks like 1984. But you know what this really reminds me of, even more so than 1984?
What?
Terry Gilliam's Brazil. You guys ever seen that movie?
I have
Nope.
not.
No.
It's kind of similar in that it like kind of a similar story, but much more like of a whimsical dystopian.
Yeah.
Fucked up movie. You guys should watch it. It's really good.
I really hope this game in particular is built better than Contrast.
Definitely.
Contrast had a really cool concept. It was really striking visually, but man, it had some technical problems. I'm really, really hoping that they have it playable tomorrow,
That'd be
because
nice.
that would be really cool to get my hands on. Whatever. Anyways, where are we going next? What else are we talking about? We've talked about Inside. We had Tekken 7. You want to chime in on Tekken?
Ooh.
It's coming out early next year. That's it. There's really nothing to talk about.
There was a Street
Like,
Fighter
it's-
character in it.
Oh yeah. There is a Street Fighter character in Tekken, but Akuma. It's most likely all their development of trying to make Tekken Cross Street Fighter, which is the Namco Bandai side of the crossover games, but they've pretty much put that project on indefinite hold, probably so they don't waste the assets. They went ahead and got permission to just use some of those assets and put them in Tekken. So it does look like it has a story mode that's going to be more engaging. It seems to have cutscenes, QTEs, things that you wouldn't find in a standard fighter for the sense of balance and versus mode and competitiveness.
It actually has a story in it at launch.
At launch, yes, it has a story at launch. Fucking Street Fighter. Anyways, but yes, it looks like it's going to be interesting. And the big announcement they made for it is that it's going to actually be on PC as well. It's going to be the first Tekken game on PC.
Let's just hope they support it.
Only time will tell. Last but not... Oh, well,
We'll let Durante fix it.
Halo Wars 2.
Meh.
I mean, none of us here, except for Chris Davis, were really Halo Wars fans. You seem pretty pumped about it.
I beat the campaign of Halo Wars 1. I'm not even certain if I still own it anymore.
It takes place during Halo 3, you said?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
A lot of
At
that...
this point, I have
You
no
seemed
idea.
pretty certain earlier.
I was going off like the art and all that. So
It is Creative Assembly. It is Halo Wars.
Yep.
That in and of itself is kind of a big deal.
Beta starts
That it's
this week.
I really wish it was Alien Isolation 2, but we know what, whatever. That's neither here nor there. Halo Wars 2 is happening, and that I suppose that's pretty good. Battlefield 1
Potential.
looks pretty fucking cool.
True.
We need to watch some of that multiplayer
But
from yesterday.
it's a lot of the same that we saw from EA.
Correct.
Sure, and you know what? And a lot of what they showed, like, piqued my interest for a moment because I think like dramatically it looked cool. Like I was like, that looks like it's gonna have some cool story beats. And then I was like, wait, this is DICE. They don't really make good single player campaigns, so I want to believe they finally maybe unlocked the secret to making good single player campaigns, but I highly doubt it. But some of the dogfighting looks really cool.
Yeah.
Like the destructible environments,
taking
of course.
down zeppelins.
Dude, like some of the destructible environments look crazy, which they always do in Battlefield. But this just, something about the fact that it's in World War One, it feels a little bit different, especially compared to what we've been getting lately in the shooter genre. So hey, I don't know. I'll try and play that over the week, sometime this week. So we'll see what happens. Is there anything else you want to bring up, Microsoft-wise? I think that kind of covered most of it.
Yeah,
That's all I can think of.
All right, let's move on to Ubisoft. Ubisoft.
Lols.
Dancing giraffe with human hands.
Yeah, the intro to
It was like that
fucking-
Katy
Yeah.
Perry Super Bowl.
Oh my god.
It was like Left Shark all over again. Was it Right Shark?
Left
Well,
it was
Shark.
her, right?
It was,
wasn't it?
yeah, it was staged.
Left Shark has been officially replaced by Left Giraffe.
Yep.
There were some things in Ubisoft that I'm a little excited about.
Mm-hmm. A few.
I would say that they got the most lame thing out of the way.
They got the Just Dance thing out of the way as an opening and moved past it, which is, that's fine with me. They talked about Ghost Recon
They did.
Wildlands,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
Chris Davis is a little perturbed by because it doesn't resemble Ghost Recon.
I have some principles that I have issues with
I
in this game.
couldn't care less because Ghost Recon gameplay has never been fun to
Correct.
me. To me, I've always felt it was very bland.
And this is one of those situations where I think the future is here. Why don't we see more games with co-op campaigns where you can play with your friends through the stories?
That demo for Wildlands looked very much like GTA 5 Heist.
Yes,
Yes.
and that's the thing I brought up because they had a goal. They go in, everything's going cool. Things get fuck up. They have to change their plans, stuff like that. And yeah, I think that's one of it gave me very much GTA Heist vibes. But once again, the whole reason it gives me those vibes is because I was playing with 3 other people and having fun doing trying to complete an objective.
And you know what? I understand part of where you're coming from because yes, it doesn't resemble Ghost Recon really at all. But in the very same situation as Prey, they are using an existing name to leverage and get addition. Like they're using it to build enthusiasm around it.
Yeah.
They're like, this isn't really Ghost Recon, but people know Ghost Recon, and it's safer than putting out a new IP because they did have another new IP to talk about, which we'll talk about. So this was kind of a safe move for them, one way or another, whether it's Ghost Recon or whether they just call it Wildlands, whatever the fuck.
Clear and present danger.
Clear and present danger. I couldn't care. That's what they call it. It looked fun.
Yeah.
It was big open space. There was a lot of driving vehicles. He got in a helicopter. He was on a dirt bike.
There's a helicopter every 200 yards, evidently.
A lot of stealth. You know what it looked like to me? It looked like they took Ghost Recon and they just injected everything they learned from Splinter Cell Blacklist and Far Cry. And they just mixed it all into one game, stirred it up, and were like, here you go. And you know what? Whatever. I think it worked pretty well. I'm interested in playing that game now, even though I really couldn't care less about that franchise as a whole at this point.
Since you mentioned Far Cry, how about them Trials Blood Dragon?
What the fuck? I thought that was a
fucking
joke.
insane.
Somebody tweeted that or talked about that a few weeks ago as a rumor. I thought that was a fucking joke.
Yeah.
So Trials has shooting now?
Yeah, and running.
They're making a Trials game that is also kind of they're injecting Blood Dragon into
You
it.
have to realize that with the level editor system that was in Trials Evolution and what was
Whatever,
it? Frontier?
whatever it was. Yeah, I didn't play it. Yeah.
It's very... you can make almost any game out of it.
Yeah.
I saw Breakout clones, Gallagher clones. There were fucking Wolfenstein wannabe shooters and stuff like that. You could do a lot with this level creator.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't surprise me that they're building this into a primary product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think first off, they probably created a really fun game. There was lots of references to movies and stuff like that. There was Indiana Jones references when they were in the minecart in front.
Did I saw a screenshot that had Sergeant Slaughter or something from
Maybe.
WWE in it.
Maybe.
Like,
They were driving the Mako.
So Brad was playing on the feet
Mako.
today, apparently.
And so I think there's a lot of potential to have fun with that. And then once again, once the community now has these tools that are even crazier than they've been before, I think even more can be made.
So what was the consensus in chat? What did y'all think of watching Brad play the demo today? I'm just curious because it looks interesting. It definitely looks interesting. And you know what? Trials has some of the best physics game. It's fucking rad.
It's it's one of those games where even though it can be really fucking difficult, I still have fun playing it. You know, when you're trying to, get a rundown and you're missing the timing on a jump or you have to do some crazy thing, I still think it's really well balanced, and I think the physics ties into that greatly as well.
Sadly, it just kind of makes me feel bad because I really, really wanted something more like a spiritual successor to Blood Dragon.
Yeah.
Because that was really cool. I mean, I guess we kind of got that DLC for DLC for Far Cry 4
What?
that looked a little Blood Dragon-y, or there were just portions of Blood Dragon that seemed portions of Far Cry 4 that felt a little Blood Dragon-y, which was really cool.
That was like the like when you got high and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which was some of my favorite moments in Far Cry 4. Still no demo, huh?
Yeah.
Come on, Sony.
Take care of it.
Don't let us down.
Might have to wait until midnight Pacific time.
Yeah, it's pop. Oh god,
It's past midnight to Pacific.
No, it's
it's
past
Central
midnight.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Central.
So what's next? Ubisoft. Let's see. Let's talk about South Park and Fractured Butthole.
fractured.
Dude, how
but
was that fucking intro? How about that fucking intro? So they were like, "What is this game? What is this fucking game?"
I was
that they're
100%
showing?"
It was like the
convinced-
crime rate.
Yeah,
I was 100%.
The Purge.
I was 100% convinced they were making a game about the Purge.
And
They were just they're fucking pitching a tent over Snowdrop.
Oh no, what happened?
Yeah, it's fine. We disconnected. It'll reconnect automatically.
Yeah.
And so it's something that we didn't see that coming, and then all of a sudden, like, Cartman shows up, and you're like, wait, what the fuck is this? This is South Park, and so we've now learned a whole lot more about the butthole than we knew before. The fact that there's 12, yes, the 12 classes.
different superhero
that are mixing-
archetypes.
Yeah, you can mix and match different ones, and we only saw a couple. We saw a speedster, and I don't remember the other two. Who the fuck cares? But I'm excited, and so it's a direct sequel, I guess, to Stick of Truth.
It's literally the next
day. Kids, they go out and they play this, and then the next day they're no longer playing like.
That's so yesterday.
Yeah, now
Today
they're
we're
playing
playing
superheroes.
In fact, your character starts. He even looks like he's still from the last game.
Yeah,
He's got his crown on.
because at the end of the game you become the king or whatever, and so at the beginning of this one you're still the king, and he's like, Cartman's like, what are you doing? We're not doing that anymore, and he has you sit down and he has you like create your superhero, and then he goes through your backstory. I guess I don't know to what extent.
Oh god, there's the backstory about he finds out he catches his dad fucking his mom.
Yeah.
So you're saying your dad fucked your mom?
It looked like he picked the speedster class, and it looked like they were going to do
Like the Flash.
the Barry Allen, like
Yes.
the new 52 Barry Allen
backstory.
origin
story.
story.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god! If every one of those classes has its own origin story,
That'd be pretty cool. And and there's Cartman goes on this long rant about how they're gonna make a movie series and phase 1 and phase 2 and blah 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 and how Token can't have a movie until phase 3 and blah blah, just all that stuff, like it's just like
Just beautiful commentary
my
on
God,
the state
dude,
of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I am so excited.
It was really good.
and that's not even getting to like the new gameplay.
Dude.
Yeah, oh my god, so the fucking new gameplay style. So in the
Combat
previous
system.
so the new combat. In the previous game it was very much turn-based, everyone's in a line, you just fight back and forth. But now there's this huge new grid-based system where you can move around, and placement on the battlefield affects how you attack people, and there's cover and elements in the world that affect it. There were some abilities where they were swapping places with enemies, abilities that go down a line, just like area of effect, stuff like that. It's so much more in depth than the previous game was, and that was the biggest problem with Stick of Truth, was the combat was very meh. Like the only important thing in combat was you had to get timing down on blocks. Like if you didn't do that, you could be fucked because some enemies were so powerful. But in this, it seems like that will probably be less of an issue just because they've put so much more time and so there's so much more depth into the combat than previously.
You can build a big ass fart, and evidently
Oh,
has the ability
Jesus
to
Christ.
rip
rip a hole in
Rip a hole
time.
in space and time,
Which
resets the turn order of
Right.
the combat.
Did we mention that before now that there is actually like a turn order in combat?
Yeah, I don't know if we
No,
brought
we
that
didn't.
up, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of interesting.
Well, there was a little bit in the previous game, like speed. I think affected the turns. I think, if I recall, it's been a while since I played.
Yeah, the
Signature.
first one just
really
seems so
play that
simple.
game.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well,
It's
Nick,
funny.
how
The
about
first
this?
one just seems so
If you
simplistic
pre-order the
mechanically.
butthole, you
I
get
already
Stick
have
of
it.
Truth for free.
I have
Oh,
Stick of
well,
Truth.
there you go.
And I hear, I know you played a lot of it, and you
Yeah.
probably spent a lot more, but you could probably get through it in what, like 10, 12 hours?
Probably if you just do the story, yeah. I mean, I went around collecting all the Pokemon and finding all the other stuff. So I mean, I definitely spent a lot more time in that game that was probably needed.
Maybe I'll get around to playing it before this new one. Is that this year?
Yes, December 10th.
Oh yeah,
I
it was
think,
in December.
Yeah.
Something like
early
that, yeah.
December. Let's see, what else from Ubisoft? Let's
Grow
look at-
Up.
Grow Up.
the sequel
Yes.
to
It
Grow
looks like
Home.
more of Grow Home, and that is the most fantastic thing ever could
That's
possibly
just
be.
fine.
Yeah. There's not much else to say about that. Oh, it's also not
Grow
a
Home was
full...
cool. This looks very similar to Grow Home. It's cool that it's getting a sequel.
It's got mushrooms now, evidently.
Mhm.
So
I love mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
Bud's his name, right? What's
Yeah.
the
Yes.
The
Bud.
robot?
and his ship is Mom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
So if you liked Grow Home, that's coming. What else do we have? Oh, Crispy.
Yep.
Crispy. Let's
The
talk
Crispy.
about it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Star Trek?
Star Trek Bridge Commander. Okay. You know what? The
Bridge
biggest
Crew?
problem.
Bridge Crew.
I'm sorry, Bridge Crew. Excuse me. Star Trek VR. Let's just call it what it is.
By the way, we still have no idea who's developing South Park.
Ubisoft.
No, it's not.
Ubisoft is
Obsidian.
publishing it,
Oh, they're
but who's
publishing it?
actually?
Yeah,
I-
Obsidian.
They're not doing it in house.
I'm not
I
100%.
can-
Yeah,
let me
it's
do
just
some
good.
work.
It's not like
Google or
Ubisoft
whatever.
Montreal or some shit.
It could be. I'm not 100%.
Anyway,
sure.
sorry. Star Trek.
Anyway, Star
LeVar
Trek
Burton.
Bridge Crew, LeVar Burton and Jerry Ryan and who else?
Looking good.
Who else was there?
Carl.
Carl Urban. Yeah, right.
Carl.
It wasn't Keith Urban.
Right.
Not the
Oh, okay.
country singer. Sorry.
Okay.
Right. The one from the not real Star Trek.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't, like, graphically, it doesn't look that great, but that's not super surprising. I mean, a lot of VR stuff now doesn't,
Like, it does not look good.
rendering wise, doesn't look crazy realistic only because of the fact that they have to meet all these ridiculous benchmarks just to make the VR possible, right? Like, something like they have to render like 120 frames per second for both eyes. I don't remember what
It looks rougher than just that.
It looks graphically, it looks rough.
Yes.
I don't think that the concept is that bad though. I mean, it is essentially a VR version of Space Team,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Pretty
And,
much.
we don't really know the major difference here is in Space Team you're just kind of like reading off commands, you're telling other people to do stuff, blah blah blah. Here it looks like you're actually kind of coordinating to accomplish specific goals, like we're on the bridge and Klingons warp in and we have to fight the Klingons. So that means the tactical officer has to be firing phasers and raising shields, and the helmsman has to be repositioning the ship, and the captain's the one telling them to do all this. Actually, did they show the captain's station? What specifically the captain is doing?
I
at
don't
his
think so.
station? Because he's got to be doing more than just telling other players what to do. Right?
Probably.
Which is, I mean, what the captain kind of does in the show.
It might be.
I was kind of poo pooing on it, just great Star Trek. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that they're doing this whole Abrams verse thing. I really hope that when the game comes out, they see fit to add in other starships and bridges other than these new Abrams verse ones. Like, it would be great to be able to do this on a Galaxy class starship, on a Constitution class starship.
I wouldn't put
Defiant
that out of the
class,
question. Something like that would
We'll-
be
we'll see.
fairly simple for them to implement.
We'll see what happens. We don't know that much about it. It was only just announced a few days ago anyway. We just got our first real look at it today. It looks
I'm
kind
sure
of
that'll be. I think they said it's
I
playable.
can't fucking believe though that they pre-recorded a demo and they still ended the demo on the ship warping through a space station.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck, man? That's fucking dumb.
Yep.
I did,
You could have fixed that. Ugh. Anyway.
I did like the joke though when people were like, "Oh look, they gave Jordy a visor."
Yeah,
That's how
Jordy's
the VR
wearing a
version-
visor. Yeah.
Oh, but the other VR game they had this looks strangely fun. even though on stage it looked like a bunch of tweaked out people, but I don't know the
Oh,
actual name of
the
the bird
eagle-
flow game.
Yeah.
It's
Eagle Flight.
Eagle
Eagle
Flight.
Flight, yeah.
That looks so fucking weird.
That
It's
looks
a-
kind of fun.
I just
though.
don't understand the
It-
point of it. I
The
think it'd be fun to
gameplay
play.
wasn't as entertaining as watching the people on stage being like,
That was the greatest.
I think it's one of those things where it'd be fun to play, but not fun to buy it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just play a demo.
it wouldn't
like
be fun to pay for.
Yeah, I would enjoy playing it for all of 10 minutes, and then I'd probably be done for the rest of my life. 'Cause I just don't understand where that game's gonna go.
I fully expect you to report on it, Crispy.
They showed a capture the
On
flag
the Eagle one?
type gameplay mode, and that's pretty much all we saw.
Fuck it, let's all go play it. You think we can all get in on the demo?
This
Probably.
could be the Rocket League of bird
Shit.
games.
I don't think that's the
Camdrum
case.
just tweeted at me like out of nowhere.
What?
What?
It just says questions, Inspector Chris.
Leave my house before you get us all killed.
God. Oh my god. Okay, you guys go ahead. I'm gonna deal with this for a second.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's it for Eagle Flight of the Eagles.
You know, my biggest problem with anything that's multiplayer with VR is who the fuck is going to have 4 friends to play this game with?
No one.
No one.
Yeah, he just tweeted.
Yep.
He's active again.
He is active.
Hey, we're doing a podcast. We can talk about this.
Camdrome will most likely be at E3. We all know this is coming. We'll port back on it later.
We'll see.
What's
next
what
on
else,
the
What
list?
else do we have from Ubisoft?
Let's see. We had. We had.
So let's talk about what about For Honor? They demonstrated
yes.
the single player campaign,
yep.
which is a game that I didn't really think needed a single player
Feels
campaign.
very weird.
Yeah, I don't
They
understand
justify samurais, Vikings, and knights fighting one another because of this cataclysm that struck, and they somehow spent 1,000 years fighting each other.
Yep.
With no technological advancement whatsoever.
No.
So
Yeah.
They literally
Well, I mean, how can you
explained it-
advance technology if you're constantly in war?
They literally just
And not just
explained it by
that, but
having
your
the world
resources
open
are
up.
clearly like pretty fucked because they're fighting over just even basic water. So you know, if you're having trouble just getting that basic infrastructure down, you don't exactly have time to research a
I
cannon.
was
or
joking.
something.
We don't need to.
I'm just
I can't
thinking
help
about the logic
But-
of the scenario.
Yeah.
But
No, and it's a very silly explanation for a very silly scenario in which just all these people from different like timelines are fighting each other, and there's one person that's gonna driving the fight between them all.
they all kind of want to stop fighting,
Yeah.
but there's this fourth faction evidently. So
Yep.
aliens.
They didn't look like aliens. They look like peoples.
Alien people.
Oh, there you go.
All right. What else? What else?
We
So
had
I guess we're down to the last
that
two.
and that.
So let's talk about Steep.
Or not.
That's not.
All right, Steep.
I mean, it's a
They-
winter sports game, pretty much.
When they said new IP,
It's-
I really didn't want.
It's the Motorstorm
this.
of winter sports.
Yep.
Oh boy.
GoPro the game.
Yeah.
Don't give
Dude, there was
fuck.
literally GoPro advertising all over that game.
Yeah.
Oh God, people were hitting mountainsides and friggin' town hall bells and pretty much dying.
No, that was
It
not
just
pretty
kept
much.
going.
Those people were dead.
They were-
Like those virtual people died.
The guy slammed into a church bell.
Yep.
It gonged.
Yeah.
He's dead.
He's he's dead.
He's
Confirmed. He's dead. All right. So you know what? We were a little bummed. New IP. They spent a lot of time talking about a new IP, which was a sports game. So let's move on from that. Watch Dogs 2, which we finally got a pretty hefty look. You know what? I had a problem with Watch Dogs 2 about. I'm still
They still didn't show the
interested
character
in
like,
playing
at all.
this game.
Marcus.
Huh?
So they still didn't show Marcus like at
No,
all.
they didn't really show off the character, his motivations, really anything to make us really, want to care about that character yet. But they showed off some gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
They showed off some cool stuff. They seemed pretty intent on using the hacking with your cell phone, even in situations when you didn't need it.
Yep.
Like he hacked a computer panel, which was literally there was a button 2 feet in front of him. He could have just pushed to do it, but he hacked it instead. That was annoying. But it looks cool. It's the coolest thing for me in that whole demo is where he's in the penthouse and he's engaging in like a firefight, and he hacks the car. There's like a Lamborghini or something parked up there. I don't know. Hacks the car, and in the I didn't even realize he had hacked it. And in the middle of the fight, it just comes flying down the hallway and just like out of the onto the patio and off the building, which was cool. But man, I this is another demo that I feel didn't really bland.
Yep.
No.
I just don't like what they've been showing of the game. Like I think they need to focus on this new character Marcus, which they haven't been, and maybe they haven't been because maybe he's not a very good character. I don't know.
In the tone of the game, it just doesn't seem that interesting at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pitching this hacker kind of culture, this
Hacktivism.
hacker culture,
Hacktivism.
Hacktivism.
Going up against corrupt politicians and people in power.
But it just kind of feels like you're being an asshole, and you're just I don't know. It just doesn't feel right.
I remember when you're a hacker, you have to wear a hat that has the label of your hacking
I
organization.
think that's
on
the
it.
biggest contradiction. Like
Not
they
to
should.
mention the app for the organization you're doing.
Oh right, download our app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That seems a little out of place. I think the biggest thing for me that stuck out that I didn't like was that character that he meets, who wears this really weird fucking mask.
Oh
on his
yeah,
face
the paintball mask with the electronic
reason,
eyes.
for no reason whatsoever. It's assuming it's acting as if Deadmau5 walks around during his everyday life wearing his fucking thing.
Well, there was that character in Watch Dogs. It was basically a rip on Deadmau5.
Yeah, but do you think Deadmau5 walks around all day with that thing on his head?
Yeah.
You don't know Deadmau5.
Do you know what other character does that? And when you realize what game it's from, you'll know why it's stupid. Borderlands 2, 0.
I didn't play Borderlands.
That's the same exact thing. Like he just shows emotes on his face, and it's like that's like a super silly, serious game, a super serious. And you play Watch Dogs, he's super serious, and then the guy has like cat eyes because he's being. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't seem right.
All right. All I want to say about Watch Dogs is I'm still cautiously optimistic just because I think a lot of what made Watch Dogs 1 really fun was kind of the emergent moments.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it really is, like when it clicks, it really clicks, and there's some really great action.
It was really good just because the multiplayer versus was tied directly into the single player. You know, you could be just running around doing like about to start a mission, and all of a sudden someone starts hacking you or whatever. And I really like that. I think it flowed pretty good, and they haven't really mentioned it at all.
No.
Yeah.
And so I'm really hoping they didn't remove that from the game.
They briefly mentioned co-op.
No, yeah, they've talked about co-op that you're going to be able to play with other people, but the co-op, not versus.
Yeah, well,
two very different things.
Yeah. I mean, other than The Division, that was pretty much it for Ubisoft.
Way to sneak that in there, Chris.
People weren't asking me to talk about
I
it in
know.
chat.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
What did
I'll
Aisha
just
Tyler?
be real quick. They showed off the first 2 expansions. The first one comes out this month. The other one comes out later this summer. First one is going to add procedurally generated underground dungeons with a few new enemies. And the second one is going to be about resource gathering and survival in a blizzard with at least 1 new enemy type. So, yay.
Cool.
What did Aisha Tyler finish the show with?
Do that shit.
Yeah, do that shit.
Do that shit. Whatever. I still think I like Aisha Tyler as a host, but that was kind of weird. Do that
She's
shit.
better than pretty much all the other ones. That
Yeah.
are
Yeah, she flows well.
She flows well. She's got good character. She keeps things fairly.
I mean, she's a comedian.
She keeps awkwardness to a minimum.
She's very lighthearted. She often makes small jokes.
She feels genuine. Feels genuine, and she's very.
Well, I
thoughtful.
honestly think a lot of that isn't scripted. I think it's just her commenting on stuff that's happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go.
And that was it for the day, right?
We're coming up on an hour, so why don't we take a quick break, stretch our legs for a second, and then we'll come back and talk about Sony.
Oh yeah, Sony.
Sony happened. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about with Sony. So we'll be back in just a second. If you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We're just gonna stretch our legs. Oh my God, Sony.
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 That was
All
pretty
right.
good.
Yeah.
So we
went to that Sony.
So we weren't sure if we were gonna get in.
Nope.
Because
Right up until it started.
We much like most conferences this year, before the show, well before, they gave out tickets to anybody who wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
We were not made aware of any of these.
Wow.
I didn't know at any point in time tickets were being given out to these events.
Wow.
So Sony, a lot of people were going in. We were in like the waiting line. We were like 60. We were pretty far back in the line, and we didn't think we were gonna get in.
Got in last second.
And no, not even last second. It was like 6:02.
We missed the first half of the God of War
It
trailer.
was like 6:02, and they were like, "All right, here's a wristband. Run on in, Tykes."
Literally run.
And we were literally like running.
Yeah,
and then we got
fucking
in, and then
hustle.
we were like, "Where do we go?" We walk in the building, and we didn't know where to go. And they were like, "Oh, go upstairs." And so we went upstairs, and they were like, "Keep going upstairs." And so we go up again. And at the very end of a hallway, the
There's
guy's like, "He's like,
There's
run!"
an usher just
He's
like, come on, come on.
And so we're like running.
It's like it's like evacuating the fucking sinking ship.
Yeah,
the dude's
yeah.
waiting for us.
He's like, it's
We kept trying to
happening.
open doors.
all the
to
doors
let
were
us in.
locked. He's like, "Well, go in
Right.
here," and it's locked.
And he
He's like,
found
"He tries
one.
to the next door," and then we go through a stairwell and we run around the building, and he finds one that's open. And he's like, "Ah!" And so we like rush in the middle of the God of War demo.
And let me just say, this man right here is graceful as fuck because he was sprinting and almost got doored by a semi door, and he literally pirouetted around it, just like full 360
Wow.
spin.
I didn't see that.
I didn't know Chris Davis was that agile.
And he didn't lose
graceful.
speed. He kept going full head on.
It was like in
amazing.
slow mo, and Tim was like, "He's so graceful." Like, well, a tear came to his
If you
eye.
put it in slow motion, you could have stuck it in a Call of Duty trailer, and they would have ate it up.
I played a lot of shit moves, so
There you go.
I understand quick time events.
But yeah, so we walk into the God of War demo, and all of us were like, "Meh, God of War."
I was like, oh, we didn't miss that much. It's
Yeah.
just God of War. And then I sat
like-
there and I started looking at it.
Yeah, like within 3 minutes, we were just like, meh to whoa.
Yeah.
So-
But some of the assumptions we were taking out of that demo apparently aren't accurate.
No, they're not. So
Because like we were assuming by virtue of the fact that he walks into a camp and it says so and so discovered like a new location, we thought, is this an open world game? Oh my god, God of War is going open world.
Yeah.
But I guess
it
it's
has
not.
since been confirmed that it is not open world. But
Boo.
I'm wondering, I'm wondering if this God of War is not open world in the same way that Dragon Age Inquisition is not open world, and that it's broken up into large areas that you can explore at will, that kind of thing.
Same with Rise of the Tomb Raider, I think.
Rise of the Tomb Raider
Yes.
is another example. Hopefully, I mean, maybe a little bit, the environments looked pretty big. I just don't know how open you are to explore them at any given time. They didn't really give you much of a sense of that. We might find out more about that over the course of the week, but
Sure.
But hey,
And it's
no-
also
no
like
more Greek mythology.
right, but it is the exact same Kratos in the same continuity. Is that
it is.
Yes.
It
That's
is the
confirmed?
same. It is the same Kratos.
does that even make sense?
No,
Well, he
Like, is that?
maybe. I mean, I guess he killed all the Greek gods,
yeah, and then
And
he
he
had-
went from Greece
and now
to
he's gonna go take on the
like
Well,
Norway.
no.
well, spoilers.
But my understanding, and this is
Oh, yeah,
my,
right.
this may be spoilers, not. I may be completely wrong.
He killed all of the gods in Greece.
My understanding was they killed most of the gods.
Yeah.
and then he had to go back in time to stop himself and reset the timeline to prevent himself from killing. His god,
Doesn't
his
matter.
original
It's
God of War.
stupid.
Ares. Ares.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
get you. So, 3 ends. You killed everyone but Athena. You left hope for humanity, and he was bleeding to death. But then it cuts back to the rock, and he's gone. And there's a blood trail dragged off to the edge. So we can assume it's from there. And like I said, humanity got hope, and they were able to live for themselves. But something else seems to have taken its place, maybe.
So he went across
Yeah.
Europe up into like the Scandinavian territories.
Yeah.
And apparently settled down again and
Settled
had
down,
himself
has-
a new
has
kid.
family,
Oh, right,
has a
sorry,
s-
Biles right. Athena was already dead. But yeah, anyways.
Okay. He has a son who we see in this demo. He's living, in a secluded life with his son, trying to teach his son the ways of survival and
Probably
the
like
ways
being
of
a
the
man,
land,
becoming a
how to
man.
be a
kind of-
Be a
man, that kind of
man.
thing.
Be a man.
So he
Be a
takes him on
man.
this hunt, which was really fucking cool. We get our first kind of glimpse at combat when they get kind of attacked by these two like troll-like demons.
And it's completely different.
Yeah, very
It's
much.
Norse mythology.
Well, I'm
I
not
think he's talking about
the enemies
combat.
themselves.
Combat seemed completely different from previous God of War
Yeah.
games. Jesus, Nick.
Sorry.
Come on. So instead of focusing on his blades or anything like that, we only saw the axe. But it was also like an ice axe. But the thing is, it did get covered in those runes. I'm curious as to maybe if that axe might take on different properties later on. Who
So
knows?
this axe, he fucking throws an axe at a dude, pins him to a wall, and immediately freezes that enemy. Mm-hmm. So it's like an ice axe, which is cool. And then he goes to town, and this other guy just destroys him, and then just holds his arm out, and then the axe pulls out of the wall.
It's almost
and
like a
flies
Thor
back,
type
flies back to his
Mjolnir,
hand,
yeah.
just like Thor. and then the dude that was stuck to the wall just like
Crumbles
falls off the wall and
down,
crumbles,
yeah.
which was really cool. And then of course him and his son get attacked by I don't even know what that
thing.
was.
I mean,
A
if
thing.
if we're going off like conventional history, like I just looked it up. So like the classical Greek age was like around 510, like BC.
Okay.
The 4th or 5th century BC, and the Viking age was Viking age was around 10 something BC, so like the 11th century AD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 8th to 11th century AD. So he would have to be hundreds of years old.
Mm-hmm.
Is that possible? I mean, I guess he was a god at one point.
I don't think he's
so-
really human,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he has a wicked beard. And
So he's like a demigod, right?
Yeah, probably.
So that's how we're explaining that.
Probably.
Okay. Just so that we're clear.
What did y'all think of that encounter with the giant
creature.
or whatever
I don't
the
know
fuck
what you
that
wanna
was?
call
That
It's like a troll.
Kind of.
that
it was also
so
speaking,
cool,
but
and
yeah.
the fact that he was trying to teach his son the basics of combat and survival in a situation like that while in the midst of fighting him
yeah.
was really cool. There was a moment where he kind of goes Super Saiyan.
Yeah,
They call it Spartan.
Rage.
They
Yeah,
still
that's
call
the
it-
biggest That's the biggest giveaway. Is it's called Spartan Rage.
Yeah, so
Right?
they're still calling it Spartan. He's a Spartan, so Spartan Rage triggers, and he fucking owns this thing.
Beats the
and then
shit out of
and then
it.
he gives his son an opportunity to hit him in the face with an arrow. Of course, the son freaks out, misses, shoots Kratos instead, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to do it myself," and just kills it, which was cool.
Yeah.
And like that whole sequence of like him trying to teach his son and like building I mean, I don't know
Well, first off, his son fucks up
a lot.
at the very beginning, and he gets told off.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a kid.
Yeah.
It seemed very genuine, like a very
Yeah,
realistic.
take it
kid
easy
would
on
do that.
Kratos Jr.
It seemed like a very realistic portrayal of like tough guy Kratos trying to teach his son how to also be a tough guy and be, you know, that was
Teach him
was
that
really cool.
masculinity.
But it's funny because it seems like he learned how to be subdued in the meantime because he was like, "Don't shoot."
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
like
tries
he
to
like
slow
calms
you,
down,
like,
and then at
yeah.
the end when they're looking out over the horizon, he like almost goes and gives his son like, "You did okay, pal," but then he like can't
He
do it.
overhands him.
I was like, "No, it broke my heart. No, just
Like-
hug your son, hug your child, tell him you love him."
Like they did a really good job of like I care about those characters. I watched the demo and I am invested. I want to know what happens with Kratos now and his son. My biggest question right now is the son like is this going to be a game where you are traveling with your son the entire game and that is
Well, there was a like an ability on the HUD that looked like it. That it was like it was a icon of an arrow. When he selected that icon, Kratos says, "No, shoot your arrow," and the son shoots that like lightning arrow at the troll.
So he is-
so it kind of seems like maybe your son is like part of the player character mechanic.
Are they
Joel
like
and Ellie.
are they trying to pull Last of Us here?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, it makes sense. It's a Sony property. Last of Us was huge for Sony. It's like I wonder if they went to Sony Santa Monica and were like, you know, maybe have you all thought about doing something like, you know, integrate a little Joel and Ellie in this game?
Dude,
Like, we'll see
Last
what
of Us
happens.
made us a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm all over
last
that.
God of War.
I am all over that if that's
The
the
last
case.
of Kratos.
That moment where he has him finish off. So
The
one
elk.
thing I noticed that was really cool is like the deer or the
The elk had like the
elk.
runes on its
like
horns.
the elk, like the wildlife in the world looked
Yeah.
like supernatural. Kind
Oh
of,
yeah,
or like,
it didn't
you
look
know.
like just regular creature.
That was really cool. And then that moment where he teaches that he has his son, he like puts his hand in his son's hand and pushes the knife into the elk
heart.
and then lets him finish it. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you notice after that, the runes on the horns went away. They
Yeah.
weren't glowing anymore.
right in the field.
fucking- dead.
And then right after that, fucking
Dragon.
dragon pops
Fucking
up.
dragon.
Like, oh, okay.
Dovahkiin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
It made me give a shit about God of War, which is something I never thought I would.
Yep.
Evidently, it's supposedly coming out quote unquote soon, but it's not a 2016 game.
So that sounds to me like a 2017 game.
We might not hear much about it till next E3. So
Probably so. But you know what? It's just cool to know it exists, and I'm interested again.
And then right after that,
they go straight into a new IP. Days Gone.
Yep.
Which it's funny because we were waiting in line and I saw the actor.
I forget his name.
Sam.
Yeah,
oh,
Sam,
is that?
Yeah,
He's the
that was
dude
him.
playing the guy in the
Yeah.
game.
He was Starkiller in The Force Unleashed. He was also in the first season of Dexter.
He was also in that Supernatural
Yeah,
like, roommates
with the werewolf
movie.
and the vampire. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we saw him walk by us online, and I was like, "Hey, it's that guy. That's cool." I saw him at E3 a few years ago, and I was like, "It's that guy." And then I was like, "Wait a second, why the fuck is he here?" And my first
Sam
thought was like, "Oh my
Witwer?
god,
Yes.
it's gonna be Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 3." No,
It's a
he's
new
in this
IP.
game,
Zambies.
Yep.
which we saw a demo of later. Zambies, how's it going, Bob?
Good.
Hey, Bobby.
Just getting the E3 inside scoop.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we'll have to hear about
Word on the
that.
street.
Yeah.
We'll have to hear about that in a bit.
So they did a live gameplay demo of the game.
This is also the game that Sony Bend was working on.
Correct.
Okay.
And it was kind of so this guy in a biker, whatever. It doesn't seem that interesting, and then all of a sudden, Zambi show up.
I
And
was interested when it was showing it. When
Well,
they
it-
established it was post-apocalyptic, and you see like the crash plane, like when the planes
yeah,
fell out of
yeah,
the
yeah.
Right. And they were
sky.
talking about like when the turbine engine stopped and the plane stopped and the electricity stopped and blah, blah.
My first thought was, "Oh my god, this
did
is
that
The Last
trailer?
of Us 2."
yeah.
Did that trailer show? Oh my god, I don't know why that never even occurred to me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I definitely felt it for a minute.
Yeah.
did that trailer have any explicit zombiness in it whatsoever?
No.
So
Because it wasn't until they
The
did the
live,
gameplay
yeah.
demo at the end that
Yeah.
zombie showed up, and I was kind of like, oh.
Well, that's the thing is they ease you in at first. So like it's him walking. The gameplay demo was him walking around looking for somebody, and then he sees
Deacon, by the way.
Deacon. Okay, and then he sees like some wolves, and then he sees some like feral kid or something. And I was like, what the fuck is this feral
I
kid?
was so thrown off by
it's like a-
that there because
Dude.
we were sitting there. I'm like watching the dome. I'm like, all right, what is this fucking thing? And the wolf like goes.
When the
runs
wolf
by, I was
darts
like, what
past the
fuck?
door,
I jumped in the
Bob
seat 'cause I was
jumped
not
out of his
expecting
seat
that.
and scared me. Like,
Because I just got lulled into a false sense of
Yeah.
like, oh, whatever. It's just gonna be this standard third-person action shooter game.
Yeah.
And the wolf scared me, and that was the like, all right, okay. Now I'm expecting shit. I'm not gonna be scared anymore.
Yeah.
Or like get that jump scare kind of thing.
And
It's
then
the
And then a
weirdest fucking
small feral child comes out of nowhere. And by the way,
It was Gollum.
yeah, it
when-
looked a little Gollum-y, yeah.
and when fucking zombie children are way scarier than regular
Well, I didn't know it
zombies.
was a zombie. I was like, I saw this thing and I was like, what? Okay, so it's what's going on? I'm like, it doesn't seem like
Well, like,
zombies.
just like any other like new IP involving zombies, like we don't really know what they are.
Oh yeah, I understand.
Um,
But it wasn't until after he kills that kid and he climbs up on the roof that you're like, oh, this is definitely a zombie game.
yeah.
Because you see hundreds. No, it was way more than dozens. It was like hundreds of zombies.
You know what this reminded me of though? So like there are so many different kinds of zombie games out there.
Yeah.
There's obviously like original Resident Evil. Then all of a sudden Resident Evil 4 introduced the smart zombies that look kind of like regular people. And like there's just the shuffling zombies. And, I mean, this is the first game. Oh, Left 4 Dead was kind of close, but like this is the first game where it literally to me feels like World War Z zombies.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Where all they want to
Yes.
do is get to you is it doesn't matter. They will run. It's just like a swarm, and it just
They
There were
climb over
hundreds
each
of
other.
them.
And that's the thing that impressed me about this game was just how many zombies were on the screen at a time interacting and just being in the world.
Yeah, and it wasn't pre-scripted. You could start seeing start to clip into each other, but
Yeah.
it seemed like each one had its own path and its own idea what to do.
Correct.
And technically, according to the books, World War Z zombies don't run.
Yeah, that is true.
Technically.
What was these zombies in the movie?
Well,
Run.
actually,
Remember
the
that
only
shitty movie?
kind of zombies that really run are rage virus zombies, which technically aren't undead and therefore not zombies to begin with.
But if I inject myself with lethal viruses, will they still attack me? Remember, that was the
Yeah.
thing.
That was not a thing in the book.
Actually,
I know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It looked really pretty and it was cool. It was definitely very engaging. It is a little bit of a bummer to realize that everything that was actually happening in the demo was really kind of wrote third-person shooter gameplay stuff. He's climbing over objects. He's running around. He's shooting red barrels. That was it. That's all he did.
That sense of
That is all he
desperation,
did.
though,
He did.
Desperation and that sense of
He did
scale.
collect
Yes.
some things.
He did collect some things, and he closed a door in a like scripted QTE event.
There was also a moment where he lured them onto a bridge, and then
That
the
was
bridge
kind of cool.
collapsed.
Yeah.
Which, if that's dynamic,
That's
that's
neat.
cool. But I don't have a lot
if
of
like
faith.
the structural, like if being able to like blow out bridges and support structures and buildings and stuff is dynamic and not just that bridge always collapses at that exact moment when zombies are running across. That'll be really cool. But we'll see. We'll see. How about the hair physics though? And his girlfriend on the bike. Remember that?
And she smells nice.
Okay.
No smell physics.
Those hair physics. I was trying to decide if that was like really good or like not good at all.
That seemed pre-rendered.
I was like, that's almost what hair looks like.
So you know what? I'm kind of excited. I think the real test here is going to be what's the pacing like, because
Yeah.
I like the idea. Like, I'm hoping what they showed in the gameplay demo at the end is representative of like maybe a small portion of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like when those moments happen, they're intense as fuck, but every moment between that is more methodically paced.
They gave him a motorcycle too, which kind of to me also indicates maybe I don't want to jump the gun, but maybe open world.
Everything's open
Right?
world now.
Well, yeah, I mean that is the age we live in. If you're doing an action adventure,
Oh,
game.
wow.
From the YouTube description, Days Gone is an open world action adventure game set in a harsh wilderness 2 years after a devastating global pandemic.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, why else would they give him the
Open
motorcycle?
world.
Yeah.
You know what? Open world's a hot
It's-
topic, but
I'm willing to say it's intriguing, but I really just want to wait until we know more.
sure.
Definitely.
Sure. All right, pull up the list again, Chris Davis. So
Well, after that was
Horizon.
which
Or that might have
was
been right after.
which
but
was one of my
Didn't they do before that? Didn't they do
Horizon happened at some
No,
point.
is it?
Horizon was the next thing.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
When
it's Horizon.
was Last Guardian? Okay, never mind.
Last
Guardians
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll cover everything.
God damn it! That's what I'm going to do. Okay.
Horizon Zero Dawn was one of my most anticipated games of the show.
Got to see a lot more than we
I
saw
think
before.
this demo delivered pretty significantly. They
Dialogue options.
dialogue
This game has
options,
dialogue options
mounts,
now. Yeah.
which were really
It's-
cool.
An open world action game.
They
Open
showed
world
the crafting. They actually had crafting menus.
Yeah,
So
They
that
did,
was a
they
cool
did.
ability to
The
just,
UI has changed a lot. over
scan like the creatures and see what components they contain. So if you take them down, you'll know what you get for
That
it.
was
It
kinda
also
neat.
seemed like it showed you their weaknesses on the points.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah, because those like brackets were glowing, and then she shot
It was
them,
pretty
yeah.
cool that like there was one creature that seemed to be like a collector creature, just maybe it was harvesting stuff. And
Yeah.
instead of attacking it, she hit the pod that it was carrying stuff in, and then it started freaking out, looking for her, and she snuck up and quickly grabbed the stuff out of that pod before interacting with it. That's a pretty cool mechanic. Like stealth might play some element to
Yes.
this.
Well, yeah, and they've shown her like hiding in tall grass and stuff before too. Like
Yeah.
that's really cool. And then right after that, they showed a little bit of the dialogue tree options, which looked cool. And then she went off to go fight an enemy.
The corruption.
and
the
to do
corrupted.
that, she tamed a wild beast as a mount.
Yeah.
And she used that tether gun to do it too. That tether gun looked pretty sweet too.
Dude, the tether gun, they showed that the last demo too. That tether
Yeah,
gun
that's right.
still looks rad.
Yeah.
I'm fucking excited for that.
She tethered it and then like went up and hacked it or
Yeah.
something.
Dude,
Like, yeah.
one of the coolest things about this game, just, it's not really a mechanic, it's just more of the nature of the game and how it unfolds, but like the combat is fucking intense.
It does seem
like
that way.
that battle was like 5 minutes long with that thing that was just constantly just
It was like
trying to
throwing rocks at
throwing
her
rocks,
and,
jumping
like,
really high and crashing down, like
Yeah.
knocking it was straight up knocking trees down.
Killed her mount.
yeah.
Killed her mount, like crushed the shit out of her mount.
Knocked over a house.
Knocked over a fucking house. Like
Yeah.
it was fucking
Yeah,
cool.
which is interesting. Do you think like that's gonna be like?
So that whole fight seemed a little scripted,
Yeah.
just because but I'm sure it will probably be a little more dynamic when you're in the game.
As far as like destroying buildings and structures and stuff
It
like
still continues to be one of my most anticipated games.
My only problem is that definitely looked way too pretty for a PS4.
that. Well, yeah, I mean that's
this-
4K.
This
probably.
is one of those games that's going to be you're going
Or
to want
the-
to have
the Neo.
PS Neo for.
Yeah.
Which honestly, after this conference, I am kind of at peace with the idea of upgrading my PlayStation.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's-
if it be like if that's what it takes, I don't know.
What's
I
up,
mean,
Bob? Bob
I
seemed
was
to
just-
have.
I was just thinking, I'll have to look at the gameplay footage again to see if it's actually PS4 or not.
It-
Because there's You can.
You can fake it.
Well, yeah. There's some things you can do. It depends on how much features you're using for the graphics. It's like a lot of dynamic lighting, shadows, environmental effects. Those can be really
I
costly.
mean,
Yeah.
that particular demo.
The foliage
was
looked
running out.
really thick and lush in that demo.
You can fake that.
There's a lot of lush.
There's a lot of things you can
foliage.
fake.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of like
Am I right?
lush greenery and
Am I
foliage
right?
in this.
Like an orgasm?
Yeah. That's the one.
I thought you were talking about faking release dates for games 6 years ago.
Yes.
Oh,
all right.
there we go.
Good
Okay.
transition. Good transition.
There we go.
Guys, holy shit. The Last Guardian has a release date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
October 26th.
25th.
A
October
lot
25th.
sooner
25th.
than was expecting.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's 3 days, I think, before I leave for a week-long vacation.
You can beat that in 3 days.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. But goddamn.
So the weird thing about this they showed us kind of a very short demo, and they showed the character interacting with. I didn't realize there was going to be these like soldier type enemy things. I guess I don't remember much from Last Guardians what we've seen in the past. It's usually I saw him interacting with the Griffin character, the Griffin creature,
Cat.
whatever, Griffin cat. Yeah. But now there are these other enemies, these enemies that he was interacting with and trying to get away from and stuff. But then you see another Griffin.
Yeah, there's another one.
And
Yeah.
I had always assumed that the Last Guardian was the Griffin thing.
Maybe it's
But
not.
now I'm like, maybe the kid is the last
Which,
Guardian.
by the way, the kid also went through a pretty dramatic
Yeah.
style or like art change in terms of the way he looks.
Mm-hmm.
And he has all those weird like tattoos on him,
Mhm.
which you know. So maybe he is the last Guardian.
Maybe.
That seems like a pretty
Well, it seemed I don't
safe
know
bet.
much about the story, but it seemed like some of
None of us do.
I just out of what I glimpsed of the trailer is it seemed like this is just totally me going off of like what I saw is the boy and the other people
Yeah.
were not necessarily at odds with each other to begin with, possibly
Hmm.
because you see them attacking the animal and then chaining the animal up, and then the boy befriending the animal.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me almost think like the boy's actually part of a village that is fighting these things.
I didn't think those were people. I might be wrong. I thought they were
some
like.
of them kind of look like
I thought they were
people,
like robots.
They were
Yeah.
the cuts were so quick. And
Yeah,
I hadn't
no,
seen
that
them
is
since
true,
then
yeah.
that
They look like stone statues.
Yeah,
that were
yeah,
moving.
yeah.
Well,
Some
and
of them were,
it
yeah.
might also just be the contrast with him. Like I don't know
Because he
why-
looks so anime.
Yeah, it's never
Yeah.
seemed more stark than in this demo. Like just how kind of out of place he looks art wise compared to the rest of the world. Like he looks like he's coming out of a fucking like Naruto game or some shit like that.
He's like a super.
And then
self-centered
everything
character.
else is
Yeah.
like really realistic and subdued.
I think
like-
that's actually pretty on par with like if you look at Shadow of the Colossus and Eco, like all of their characters, like the main characters, look similar in style to the. Oh, is it there?
Nope. Pre-order only. $80.
What the fuck?
Deluxe edition.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're trying to get Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, tell me there's please.
We're gonna be playing the Resident Evil 7 demo after the podcast if we can get it going before it's too late.
We'll get to that in a second.
We'll get to that in a second. I just want to finish. I just wanted to point out. So like stylistically, I feel like that's kind of always been their thing. As technology has gotten better, yes, I think the disparity between the main character and everything else around it has become a little more noticeable.
Mhm.
But their main characters have always looked kind of anime-ish.
Yeah, but it's just very stark.
Yeah.
Like it's even more so in what we've seen. But I mean, who knows?
It doesn't look completely out of place. I don't think. I mean, it is still stylized. This game is a stylized art style.
Mhm.
And like there are other things like when there's like lighting effects and like magical things happening. Like all of those effects look kind of stylized in the same way. So it's not completely inconsistent. So, anyways, October 25th. That's very fucking exciting. It's good to know that that's finally coming. All right, what else do we have?
They started talking about VR.
Yes,
A big
Several
section
VR.
on VR.
So you were
Call
right.
it.
A lot of VR. A lot of
Yeah.
VR. One thing I was not expecting though was to walk out of the other side of this kind of on board and wanting to play VR. Want to pick up PlayStation VR.
They showed
I'm
some-
kind of interested now.
Like before, they showed a lot of indie experiences, and
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
experimental experiences in VR, and VR does not show well on a single screen.
No, it does not.
It looks like shit.
Yep.
Because you get a lot of distortion, you got a lot of jankiness with the camera, and like the camera's like doing this drunk walk thing usually. And I noticed like in some of the guns, especially the moon one, the Mars planet one, the gun was like shaking weirdly. Like sometimes I don't know if it's just the tracking on the thing they were using, but the gun was jittering.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you see that in the VR or not. Like for the most part, when you're playing the VR, you don't really either notice these things, or it just looks better because it's rendering two eyes as opposed to just
like a screen, like
composited onto a single screen.
Yeah,
Or they're just
they're
seeing one eye.
Yeah.
But now they actually are starting to show a lot of the AAA VR experiences.
Dude,
which
that is one thing like I was terrified about because so many of the VR experiences so far, when you see a game that's VR, it's immediately recognizable as that's a VR game.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I started to see some things that looked like they looked like your standard like AAA experience, just played on VR.
Yep.
Like you're still controlling the character with the controller, but you have the headset on and you're kind of in that space and you can look around. Like that's kind of what I want. And of course, one of the first things they showed was what I originally was like, holy shit.
I thought it was Condemned, right?
I thought it was Condemned.
When they showed the mannequins, right?
Yeah, I saw the mannequins. It was all run down. It was giving me flashbacks to the original Condemned in the farmhouse.
Yep.
And then I started, I was like, maybe this isn't Condemned. They mentioned the kitchen, which is a demo they showed.
Right, he goes into the kitchen and there's a video he picks up about the kitchen and I was like, oh, so they just took their VR demo and they're turning it into a game?
It's just crazy when you think about it because as the demo went on, you started to see some creepy shit happen. It was actually...
You saw that guy walk past the room, right when he looked
didn't
past.
get a good look at him, but
the ladies in the audience below screamed.
Oh yeah, like 3-4 of them real loud.
That was making me a little nervous. I was like, what the fuck? And then I started to see some weird shit happening. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I was still kind of convinced it was Condemned. And then about 20 seconds or so before the end of it, I was like, no, there's no way. I think this might be Resident Evil 7. And then it happened. And then it fucking happened. They dropped it. Resident Evil 7.
Crowd goes wild.
Crowd goes wild. My first
Ape shit.
Crowd goes ape shit. My first instinct was, oh my god, it's a VR game. Kill me. And then I was like, they said demo out now. They said demo out tonight. And I was like, well, PlayStation VR is not out, so it doesn't require VR. It's just compatible with it. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, if they can still make a really good Resident Evil game, but also make it compatible with VR and have it be scary and effective and cool, that's awesome. I'm totally cool with that.
Totes.
So I am on fucking board.
They have put out a trailer for Resident Evil 7 that doesn't have the VR aspect to it, and visually it looks fucking outstanding. By comparison. It looks like PT plus.
Nice.
Take it easy.
There's been a lot of...
So someone made a Twitter account called "Is Resident Evil 7 Demo Out?"
Nice.
And no.
And the tweet is fucking.
So yeah, we'll talk about that
So we
more
are
soon.
hoping before the night's over, if the demo gets posted soon enough, we'll play it on the feed tonight before we cut it.
But the most delightful surprise about it, January release.
January release date.
Yeah.
Which I did not see that coming. That means that game is close to completion.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. And I'm sure we'll get more information about that as the week goes on. I
another-
bet that'll be playable at the show floor as
probably.
well. I wonder if it'll be different than what we're getting on the demo.
Probably not.
And some people, they've been saying like, oh, it's just another PT or it's just another. And the thing is, one, we don't know, what the full gameplay of this game is going to be. I don't doubt it's going to have a weapon of some type because Resident Evil isn't about making you helpless; it's about making you weak to, deal with these situations. But two, that's also, yes, we've had Resident Evil 4 and then 5 and then that god-awful 6, but people were very fond of 4 and 5. But that's also the moment when they started, that heavy shift to combat. One of the great things about classic Resident Evil games wasn't, the moment where you're trying to fight a zombie, but it's about trying to go through this area that you have no idea what's around the corner, or you have no idea where the next spot you're supposed to be
Pacing.
And
Yes.
resource
All about
management.
pacing.
And resource management,
and
yes.
Yeah.
So if it's a return to that form, then I'm all for it.
It's also worth noting, I don't know if you guys were paying much attention, but the way the E3 stage was set up, they had that main screen, and then they had a large screen behind it. And they were doing all these different visual effects with that. When the tape was playing, they were showing flashes of like other stuff behind the main screen.
Yep.
And some of the stuff they were showing seemed very different, like kind of in a visual like tonality sense than what the demo was showing us. Like stuff that I think might be a little bit more Resident Evil-y, like from the last few Resident Evils.
Okay.
You know? So I don't like that made me think that I don't know exactly how representative this kitchen sequence is going to be.
You're right, but one thing they know for certain is that there was a lot of backlash to 6.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
And whether this ends up being a full reboot or a continuation or a sequel or whatever the fuck, it seems to me like they're taking the necessary steps to kind of recapture that audience that loves classic Resident Evil. In some way.
I mean, I'm not a Resident Evil fan, like really at all, but that demo piqued my interest. I just don't want to like get too into it and then find out, oh yeah, no, it's still fucking
the only thing that scares
Resident Evil 6.
The only thing that scares me about it is yes, it does seem like the people who worked on PT are involved with this project. It was announced in very similar fashion to PT in that it was demo available today. Check it out now.
People who worked on PT are involved in this?
It was rumored a while ago, and there are MGS in chat said he spoke to someone and that yes, it's confirmed, and I've seen that several other places as well. It seems very likely that people who worked on PT worked in this game. The thing is, this is very reminiscent of how PT went down. Yeah. And I'm trying desperately to not get too... Now, the thing is, Silent Hills didn't really exist in any real sense when PT came out. No. Yeah. Resident Evil 7 has a release date of
very soon.
6 months away.
Yeah. Also, PT was Konami. This is Capcom.
Yeah. Yes.
Capcom wants to make money.
Yeah.
So
they'll release a game. It might not be the best in the world, but they'll release a game.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't think it's going to get canceled mysteriously out of nowhere.
But the one I wanted to bring up was they mentioned, they're trying to push VR because their console's VR ready, and he had mentioned that they're planning on, or as of this moment, 50 VR games before the end of the year. By the end of this year.
So from October to the end of the year.
Well, I don't know necessarily because I'm assuming they're counting something like Final Fantasy 15 in that list, which comes out in September. But it is going to have a VR experience where you can. I don't know how much of it, but you can play through at least some of the game as Pronto, the guy with
that was the one demo. I was like, that
was kind of weird.
Like they just tacked it on.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of just looks like. Yeah, I don't know that that's the main game. It kind of just looks like a shooting gallery kind of thing.
That's one game I can honestly say I probably will have no interest in trying on VR.
Mm-hmm. I like gun games, and that looked really stale.
But VR, crispy. What about Batman VR?
Dude.
What is that even gonna be?
I thought Rocksteady was done with this shit. First of all,
yeah, I don't know.
What the
there
fuck?
was Rocksteady's logo was on the fucking thing. It's called Batman Arkham VR Experience.
I also
Batman
thought
Arkham
Mark
VR.
Hamill was done with this shit.
Yeah. I mean, we can assume if Mark Hamill's there. Well, I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna have Kevin Conroy or anybody voicing Batman, or if this is just gonna be.
Chris Davis?
I can read you the blog post on the PlayStation website about Batman VR.
Sure, go for it.
If you're gonna do that, I'm turning the mic. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, give us the skinny.
Quote. One of the things that Arkham fans have been asking for is the opportunity to explore some of the most iconic locations in Batman's universe, such as Wayne Manor and the Batcave. For the first time, time in a Rocksteady Arkham story, Batman Arkham VR offers players a chance to do exactly that, to feel that unique sense of presence in these legendary locations through virtual reality.
Okay.
If you've ever wondered how it feels to be Bruce Wayne surrounded by the finery of Wayne Manor, then descend into the Batcave to put on the iconic suit. Yeah. You'll know.
Is this
is a demo? This is a tech demo.
Is this literally a simulation of like what it feels like to go and put on a
let me tell you something.
Superhero suit?
Let me tell you something. So for a while now, Paul Dini had been talking about this thing he was working on that was a VR experience that was set in the Batman animated series universe, where it was literally just the Batcave. It was a VR thing you put on and you could explore the Batcave and see like the animated series version of the Batcave.
Giant penny.
Whether this is like, I don't know what happened to that project. Maybe it came out. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it was ever meant to be a home release. I don't know what, like, it just disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if this is like a like kind of an extension of that, or like
Arkham VR is an intense murder mystery in the style of classic Batman comic books, but with a strong dose of dark psychology that Arkham games are well known for.
Sure. So they've only specifically mentioned the Batcave and what else?
Wayne Manor.
Wayne Manor. Okay, so that sounds to me like maybe you're doing some sort of detective work, like in the Batcave, like trying to solve a mystery. Like he's got all his evidence and his clues.
Pushing buttons on the
he's
back
come back.
computer.
Yeah, he's going to the back computer. He's trying to like run simulations and
He's got a surgeon simulator pour stuff into the back
Batman.
computer. Yeah.
It's gonna be like Clue, but it's in the Wayne Manor.
Right. It's Batman. So, I'm a little curious. I'm a little excited about it. You guys know I love Batman. I fucking love Batman.
We do know, yeah.
I like Batman.
But this isn't something that I'm necessarily like running out to spend $400 on a VR headset for.
And speaking
In
of,
fact,
you would
more
be spending $400 this October
a little
on the VR
more,
headset because that's when it's
Right.
coming out.
Right. A little more intriguing than that to me was actually the Star Wars Battlefront X-Wing VR mission.
Yeah.
It's a little disconcerting that it's mission singular, and it's probably just going to be that one dogfight in space against TIE
It sounds
fighters.
like DLC for Battlefront using VR.
For sure. But I mean, that's still kind of cool. Like, if I already had a VR headset, I'd love to see it. And that's the thing. I've been pretty open about my positive attitude towards VR. Okay, I think the VR is going to open up some new experiences and have some interesting things. What?
Yeah, the VR mission is developed by Criterion.
What?
Creators of Burnout.
Yeah, I know.
So?
Well, I mean, it's not DICE,
So?
which is weird.
That's not that weird. I mean, we know this isn't a full game. We know this isn't a full Battlefront like game mode. This is another tech demo, guys. Let me get to my point. This is what I'm saying. I'm pretty positive about VR. I think there will be some interesting things in the future. I do not think that right now is the time to be excited about VR. The tech is too expensive. It takes too much to get it running, and what they're able to pull off with it is too limited right now. And that's evident in we'll get a really cool X-Wing dogfight game that might even look pretty, but it's going to be one mission because that's all we can fucking handle.
Well, it's like the early Kinect games were nothing but...
They were horrible. Like
Exactly.
Rails. They were like
And that
rail
failed to
games.
evolve.
Yeah.
Like that really went
It's also
nowhere.
testing the water. And if it is successful, it is popular, then there's no reason why they wouldn't make a full game
Yeah,
out
see-
of it.
Like Eve Valkyrie, for example.
Right.
You would think it'd be like this full sim thing.
No,
it's basically a dogfight horde mode simulator.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all it ever will be.
Yeah, and like it's really easy to like fall prey to these demos and these demonstrations that are like, oh, that looks so cool. I can't wait until this is just what gaming is, right? But we're not there yet, and we're not gonna be. It's gonna be 5 years before this is really where we're thinking it is.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I think most of us, at least in this room, understand that's
So-
it's Joe Blow consumer out there
Right.
who's Sony's like, hey, here's a VR headset for
Like,
$400.
virtual reality exists now. Go buy one.
Play
Like,
50 games this year.
If you were an early adopter, you did want to go in all in and try to experience VR as it exists right now. PlayStation VR is the cheapest of all of them right now. Am I wrong?
It's most cost effective.
Yeah.
Biohunter says that the Batman VR is only 60 minutes long. I don't know where he got confirmation from that. He says it is confirmed. Take that with a grain of salt. I don't know. But that is exactly what I would expect. That is exactly what I would expect. That's not that exciting. It's kind of neat that Mark Hamill's going to be back playing the Joker because who doesn't love that? But this isn't a game.
Correct.
This isn't a game.
This better not be
This
Rocksteady's next. Rocksteady better be working on something else.
Yeah, I'm sure
There's
they
no
are.
way.
Yeah.
I mean, come to think of it, it kind of reminds me, not to put too fine a point at the end of Arkham Knight, but there is a series of first-person sequences.
Yes, there are.
And that might be kind of from where this project came from.
I mean, they may have been experimenting with it, which led them to this moment.
Maybe.
Who knows?
By the way, I couldn't, I don't know what it is. I guess my hearing just really fucking sucks, but I couldn't really understand half of what was coming out of the sound system in the auditorium there. So when they're just showing, cuts of, black leather suit, and you guys are, looking at me with that dumb look on your face, and I'm just like, what? And then I finally realized that it was Mark Hamill talking. I was like, oh.
The guy behind us was
okay.
like, "Oh my god, this is Spider-Man."
Really? I was like, what are you talking about?
Wait, which speaking... Oh, wait, are we...
No, we'll get there.
Let's move on to Crash Bandicoot.
We'll get there.
That was brought up.
But that's an interesting surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, people lost their fucking mind.
Yeah.
Dude, the coolest thing about that presentation was where he walked on stage and
his shadow was Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. That was cool.
I like that.
I was digging that. But and then he was like, he's coming back. They're remaster and remaking Crash Bandicoot 1 on PS4, but for now, let's see Skylanders.
It's a remastered collection. So, sounds like the first 3 games.
I'm sorry, but a remastered version of a PlayStation 1 game does sound a little less like a remake. Is this a remake or a remaster?
I don't know. And let's not assume either way. We'll find out more later.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see though. Sony's finally acknowledged. Wait, we had this mascot that we were trying to promote for so many years.
Right.
He's back.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, but he's owned by Activision. That's the problem.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the next game
Who
that
wants a remaster of a game that came out in 1990 whatever?
People
true.
who just played
Some-
the last
some
one.
people do, yeah.
Uncharted 4.
Uncharted.
There's a lot of people that want a remaster of Resident Evil 2 from 1998.
I mean,
And
no,
what do you
people
know,
don't
we're
want.
getting one.
People want a remaster or they want a remake. Does anybody want a remaster of Resident Evil 2?
Some of them would
I
take a
wouldn't.
remaster
I wouldn't be
because the
excited for a
mechanics are great.
remaster of Resident Evil 2. Remaster to me sounds like they cleaned up textures and they didn't fundamentally change the way you
All right.
control
Well,
and play that
that's a
game.
discussion for a different time because I want to talk about Detroit becoming human.
Oh yes, that's a thing that happened.
Didn't see that one coming either.
Well, I mean,
Personally,
It's not a huge surprise.
yeah, I mean,
But it was really cool, and we got to
this wasn't its
when they
original
announced no
announcement. This wasn't its announcement.
no we know. Well, I know, and that's what I was saying before, because when they actually announced the game last year,
Yes.
Yeah.
right, it was all focused around that character Kara from the original
Yes.
Kara demo.
yeah.
Yes.
She was not mentioned, not
Nope.
seen, nowhere to be found in
But
this
I
trailer.
think that
which have they completely changed the direction of this game?
No,
Is
they
this
haven't.
just one specific
No.
character of
I'm-
a cast of characters?
That's
Bingo.
probably
Okay.
I'm
based
pretty
on
sure that's it right there.
especially just based on Heavy Rain, something like that style.
I mean, I would hope that they didn't just quietly put her out to pasture somewhere.
I
No, I
doubt
don't
it.
think so because people responded pretty positively to that original thing. I think this was them just trying to show another aspect of that existing game. So there are multiple characters. Both characters we've seen so far are androids.
Yep.
And they're trying to show different androids and the way they had different personalities and their different stories. And this one seemed to be I don't know how you would describe him. He was like a detective or something.
Negotiator.
He's a
Yeah,
negotiator.
no,
He was a
he
was
negotiator.
negotiating.
There we go.
But he was doing a lot of detective work to try to, because the scenario they showed was him walking into this hostage situation where an android was holding a small girl hostage and was threatening to kill her.
A rogue android.
A rogue
Yeah,
android,
yeah.
and he tries to negotiate with it, and the android jumps off the building with the girl.
Yep.
And then they rewind and say, okay, well, if you'd taken a minute to take a look at the scene, you could collect these clues, you could reconstruct the situation, and then you'd have more to work with when you're negotiating with this android. And then they ended up showing like 5 or
yeah,
6
there was a lot.
different possible outcomes from this negotiation. Like perhaps one where he shoots you and you die, perhaps one where you shoot him and he dies, one where you push him off the edge and jump with him and the little girl's safe, one where you actually talk him down and the little girl's safe and he's fine and you're fine.
Oh, he's not fine because
well, he was fine, and then
Yeah.
the sniper. Well, we
Yeah.
don't know
Oh, I
how
know.
that plays
I
out,
understand.
right? And we don't know. I mean, the way they presented it makes it seem really cool, really awesome, gives it this illusion of choice. But I feel like that's something we've seen before in Quantic Dream.
Yeah, we've definitely
games.
seen that before, and I kind of brought up the fact that unlike something like the Walking Dead from Telltale, where you have multiple dialogue options. It seemed like every time you had this, you had two options. Either lie or tell the truth.
Right.
Pick up the gun or leave it there. It was
And
always
everything
like
branches off in this like binary pattern.
yeah.
But
the,
then
the web they showed at the end of this demo seemed more intricate than Heavy Rain.
It definitely seemed a lot more intricate.
and
yes.
it could be like Heavy Rain, like the same situation where if you hadn't properly investigated or you missed something,
I'm sure
crucial
that's
that you
exactly,
can't-
yeah.
And I mean, it's my concern is when they talk about like, oh, this scenario could play out in different ways, but one of those ways is your character dies. That's a fail state reload. Is that really an actual?
Well, that's what we were talking about. That might not. That could have been where that character dies.
Maybe they kill the character off and you just play the rest of the game without him. I don't know if I'm ready to buy that. But
You know
we'll
what?
see.
I don't. While I am very interested to see more of this game, and I hope it turns out well, I hope we're all cautiously
I
optimistic.
just hope it's not
because
fucking demons or something. At the end.
David
like,
Cage is a loose cannon when it
He
comes
is.
to writing.
He is.
And he has the tendency to write stories that, while at first seem really cool, have very low points.
Once they pull back the
periodically.
curtain, it's just,
and then when you reach a conclusion, suddenly it can
I wonder
fall apart.
if in this game at any point you will press X to Jason.
Jason.
Yeah, I wonder if that's gonna happen.
I wish Joseph was here just so we can hear his David Cage. God, we could use that after
that was great when we went to the after party and we saw Conan O'Brien being interviewed, and then we saw Hideo Kojima, and then they brought up David Cage, and we're like, oh, let's go get some free beer.
Yeah, that is pretty much exactly how it happened.
You sure we can't call up Joseph and have him do a live rendition of David Cage?
Oh God.
Maybe.
So I don't remember he did a good impression. Oh wait,
Yeah,
I know what
he
you're
was
talking
David
about.
Cage talking about Peter Molyneux.
Oh, that was so good. I remember that
There's
now.
2 more games from this conference to talk about.
And one I have.
Which one do we want to finish with? Which one we would do next? Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about
Dude,
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man
Spider-Man.
is like my highlight of the fucking
Dude,
show.
that looked fucking awesome.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
I would. So the rumors.
I like the new
second-
suit, by the way. I'm
the
going to throw
suit-
that out there. I like
suit
the
is
suit.
gorgeous.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty.
I
hyped
like
about
the
that.
suit.
I want to say right now, I was pretty surprised because rumors going into the show were initially that it was Sucker Punch
Yes.
who was doing Spider-Man,
Correct.
and then last second rumors changed. Like rumors are it's actually Insomniac. Turns out it was Insomniac.
Yep.
I didn't even think this was going to come to pass. Period.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, PS4 exclusive, made by Insomniac, looks fucking awesome.
It looks cool.
fucking
We didn't get much of a sense of the scale, and all he's really doing in the game is beating up
Thugs.
crooks with masks.
Yep.
Although somebody did point out something that I had completely forgotten about, but those masks are incredibly similar to masks worn by thugs who work for a Spider-Man villain called Negative Man. There's this guy who was introduced around 2007, I think, when they were doing Brand New Day right after Civil War, named Negative Man, who kind of became this kind of fan favorite and ended up being a main canon supervillain. And he has these really weird, what they call negative energy powers. Kind of looks like electricity or
I'm
some
gonna
shit
Google
like that.
image Negative
But
Man.
I'm going to guess that Negative Man is the main or one of the main villains of this Spider-Man game.
I mean, most Spider-Man games generally have a slew of villains you fight at
They
some
do.
point.
They
But
do.
yeah.
But there's usually one
Is
that's
this Negative
like
Man?
The sponge.
no.
There's a piece of
Type in Spider-Man.
Okay, Negative Man, Spider-Man. All right. Sorry.
Or
no.
Mr. Negative. I'm sorry, Mr. Negative. God
Mr.
damn it.
Negative. Oh, come on.
Not Negative Man. Mr. Negative.
Negative Man, Negative Man.
That's
Oh,
what
okay,
it
yeah,
looks
that
like.
does look
Because
pretty
he looks
similar.
like a photo negative. Like, and that's
Interesting.
his whole thing. And he like shoots lightning. He's like, I don't know.
Dude.
He's this weird guy, and he almost has this like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. Like he turns into Mr. Negative, but he can't really control it.
looks
He's
cool.
weird. He's weird. But yeah, he's been around for a while. I'm and see.
Dude,
oh, you can see
those-
those masks. Those are the masks,
masks.
right?
Those are the fucking masks.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be the villain.
We're
of
breaking it
this.
right here.
Well,
Mr. Negative.
So,
Mr.
we
Negative.
didn't get to see a whole lot of the gameplay, but what we did see was pretty cool. Him going through that cafe, jumping from table to table,
Which-
dodging people, going
Yeah.
out the window.
Looks amazing.
I hope that's like a dynamic thing.
yeah.
I hope it's dynamic. I think it's probably a safer bet that it's kind of working like Assassin's Creed, where you run through the
Jump through the
building and it does
window,
the
yeah.
automatic thing.
Well, yeah.
But you know what? Even if that is the case, like it is super fluid and it looks
Well,
really.
I just
fucking
meant
cool.
more in the sense that like that wasn't them coming out of a cutscene and it's like,
Yeah,
oh, I gotta
yeah.
go be Spider-Man and save the day. But it's like as you're swinging around New York, you can like move through buildings, and he'll do these little sequences where he's jumping around.
There were specific moments in that trailer that were very reminiscent of some of the really good moments in like the Spider-Man movies, where like the choreography and the film, the panning and the camera work and stuff was really good. That kind of gave me chills.
Yeah,
and I was like.
Definitely him like doing his webbing attacks, flipping dudes over, picking up objects and throwing them at dudes, all that kind of stuff.
It looks really awesome. There was a moment we actually paused it. We did like a slow mo thing before we watched it, and you could see some of the details in the suit, like under his on the bottom of his feet. You can see the grips and like the design. There's like that white design kind of carries through the end of his tips of his fingers, which is really cool. Like I am over the moon excited.
Totally on board with this.
No, I mean, if this is another good Spider-Man game, there hasn't been a good Spider-Man game since Spider-Man 2.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah. Let's be clear.
Okay, Ultimate Spider-Man, I liked.
Yeah, no,
I liked Ultimate Spider-Man.
I loved Ultimate Spider-Man. But let's be honest.
But there has definitely there was not a single good Spider-Man game last generation. There was not a single good Spider-Man game so far this generation. There's been 2, and they both fucking sucked.
I played Web of Shadows, and that thing had redeeming qualities, but it did not even come close.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're back to like Spider-Man 2 levels of like enjoyable, believable, good open world Spider-Man action,
but
there's no reason not to.
The only
make
reason Spider-Man 2 is revered is because it was the first game that really nailed the web swinging.
Yes.
Outside of that, like the story, the character portrayal, like none of that was really good. This looks
some
like
of it was kind of entertaining.
Insomniac has a knack, like they inject personality into their characters. They create worlds that like feel lived in, and like that is what I'm excited about. Like this looks like they're going to put the same level of detail into Spider-Man's video game universe as Rocksteady kind of put into Batman. At least that's what my hope is.
And from what we saw, like even though it might not have been gameplay, some of it, but it seemed like they had that sense of speed, that sense of power that Spider-Man absolutely has. He's a super fast, actually super strong
really
character.
frenetic, like
Yeah, like the way he's just slamming people, like you said, or like that first swing he does when you can see the soles of his feet, he just goes zipping through. If they can maintain that speed in gameplay, and that's what I want from a Spider-Man game, because it feels like it's so slow in every other game when you're doing anything with him involving like crawling or swinging through the air.
Yeah, that was a really good tease. I mean, it remains to be seen what comes of them actually explaining the mechanics of the game. So.
It's really also going to help to figure out how they're going to characterize Spider-Man. Are they going to do like the emo Peter Parker? Are they gonna,
of course they
No, they're
yeah,
not.
out of all the ones they're going to pick, they're going to pick the
they're
one
not.
scene
I'm
from
just
Spider-Man
saying,
3.
He sounded a little kind of emo Peter Parker.
Well, you're basing that off of his
I'm not.
voice.
I don't know if we have any confirmation whatsoever who's playing Peter Parker in this game. It kind of reminded me of the kid they got for Civil War, though.
Okay,
like it kind of sounded like him.
Little Todd Howard.
Yeah, between that, the fact that they actually had the like mechanical eyes for a suit, which by the way, fucking fight me on this, but I like those. Okay, I like those.
I think
eyes.
most people are positive about that.
I don't know. A lot of people were really bitchy about it.
I think a lot of those people have
They're
no
like,
idea
oh,
that
it's so
was even an
stupid. He
aspect
went
of
little robot
Spider-Man's
eyes. Why
costume.
does his eyes need that? Well, I think Brad was a little poo-pooey about that. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Everything.
I like those eyes. Between that similarity in the acting and the voice acting and that little touch there, I'm wondering if maybe we're getting an early look at maybe what his homecoming suit will look like.
Maybe it's potential.
I feel like it's homecoming suit. I'm really hoping, like, as much as I want them to take inspiration from what they did with the Captain America Civil War and kind of like see what people want from Spider-Man.
Right.
Like, I really hope this has no connection to any movies.
Agreed.
Yes.
Sure.
Like, I'm pretty sure.
I do too.
I'm hoping this is a completely original story, completely original world, built from the ground up by Insomniac. That's all I need.
Yuri Lowenthal is voicing this Spider-Man.
Yuri Lowenthal.
I don't know if I know who that is.
Cool. Thank you for that tidbit,
I
02.
want to say
I'm really. Maybe
Anywhere
this will be. Oh my god, a collector's edition. I will not do it. I will not do it. I will
what?
not do it. Last Guardian,
Last Guardian Collector's
featuring
Edition.
a steelbook game case, Blu-ray game disc,
You're
premium
gonna
statue,
do it.
72-page art book, digital soundtrack, sticker sheet, and a collector's box. It literally looks like a box made of
No
wood.
soundtrack, really?
Yeah, soundtrack.
Okay,
Yeah, it's in there.
Good.
10-track soundtrack.
Yeah.
I might upgrade.
The Spider-Man Homecoming is scheduled for next July, so might be a good product item. Also,
Dude, no! Don't say things like
I'm
that.
not. They don't have to be together. They don't have to be a licensed
So-
game. I'm just saying.
This guy playing Spider-Man was the American voice of Sasuke Uchiha in Naruto.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Was that good?
I mean, that's the only thing I.
He was. Okay. Yeah. Also, just throw us out there. If
Persona,
Sucker Punch is
Tiger
working on
Bomb,
this, what the hell are they working on?
I don't know. We're not going to
Some
find
other
out right
game,
now.
yeah.
Something other than...
Oh, he's Ben 10 is who he is.
Oh,
Oh.
of course.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
One more game.
One more game to talk about.
Who saw this one coming?
Nobody. Nobody saw this shit coming. Holy God. Hideo Kojima came on stage and fucking...
The best part,
revealed-
Andrew House comes out, and I'm like, ooh, Andrew House, he always gives us something good. And I'm expecting him to talk for 5 minutes about the status of PlayStation, and he's like, I just wanted to come out here and introduce one of the best, the greatest game developers, blah, 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 blah. And everyone's like...
Creative minds in
There
games.
was no riffraff this
Yeah,
year.
and everyone's like, he's not talking about Hideo, is he?
No, that's not right.
He said reintroduce.
Yeah, he said reintroduce.
And then they did
the curtain rises, and it's complete blackness, and a spotlight shines on Hideo Kojima, and everyone
They
fucking
do that.
freaks out.
They do that awesome little lighted path for him, and
Yeah.
he's just like "fuck it" and blows right by it.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
He's on stage long enough just to be like, "Hello, I'm back. Okay, here's my trailer," and then walked away. It was
So
great.
we see a trailer for a game that has no engine yet.
Nope.
Confirmed. He confirmed that in an interview shortly after the conference.
Yeah.
But
Volumetric God rays.
Yeah.
but
They come from Kojima.
this is the weirdest trailer I've ever
It's
seen.
got like
Dude,
ghost babies.
What the fuck is even going
Yeah,
on?
no idea.
I like.
Hideo Kojima is
It's
off
Ghost
rocker.
Baby, but then he's got like when the naked dude stood up and turned around and everyone realized it was Norman Reedus, that crowd went fucking crazy.
Dude, I don't know how Norman Reedus and Hideo Kojima became such buddy pals. Like whatever. Like I don't know, but it's awesome. So yeah, I'm glad Norman Reedus is involved with this. A little bummed that maybe this isn't. It would have been a total full circle slap in the face if it was Guillermo del Toro as well.
I was hoping for
We
that.
were all
We
like,
didn't get
even
it.
when they showed
Right.
the credit, like the credit screen, we
were
all like,
looking for
we were
it.
like, Guillermo,
Right.
Guillermo,
We thought it was gonna be like the
Guillermo.
last one to appear.
Yeah.
And it has been confirmed that he's not currently working with him on the game.
Yes, but it does sound like maybe they're still in connection.
It's so weird. Like, what the fuck is even going on? I mean, I'm just trying to like piece together everything.
Lots
we saw.
of dead sea life.
There was lots of dead things.
sea creatures.
Okay.
He had like
Naked
some
Norman
cybernetic implants on him, but he also had like a big cross section
Yeah.
scar on his gut.
Does he have
After he had the
That's
yeah.
not what a C-section
so was he
scar looks like.
Was he Mr. Mom? Maybe. Who
might have been
knows?
Mr. Mom.
And then there was those 5 figures floating in the sky. Which, by the way,
You know
that
what?
shot was like fucking beautiful.
And
I
you
want
know
that
what?
as a wallpaper.
I'm gonna put money on it right now. This is my bet. This is my hot dog bet for E3 2016. Although we
70.
probably, I don't know when the fuck we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Those figures that are floating off in the distance. I bet they are the character that represents the logo for Kojima Productions now. That
the
character,
Ludens?
that character they've
The
been putting so
Ludens?
much fucking detail in.
Yeah.
I bet.
I mean,
it's
you
one of
really
those-
think he's in the game?
dude? Why would you
I
spend
don't
so
know,
much
I
time
don't know.
putting creating a character?
I mean,
like
why
that
not
for
put
your
some
logo?
work into a logo for a company that you're expecting to be around for a while?
Yeah,
Use a lot,
more than
right?
just one IP.
Right.
But like that could be like their mascot.
That's dumb.
I don't know.
It is their mascot, but he doesn't have to be in a game.
I'm just saying.
Okay. But the thing that kind of also tripped me up a little bit too is, the game is called Death
Stranding.
Stranding. Death Stranding.
Correct.
Is that a word?
That's a
No.
weird.
Yes.
What, 2 strands
He
something.
explained
Yeah.
it during the
During the
Right.
interview with Jeff Keighley, he kind of talked about it briefly about what it meant.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the name,
Yeah,
but
neither am I.
he did talk to Jeff Keighley about it, and he said something about
Oh, by the way,
something from another world is stranded here in
Yeah.
our world. Which what the fuck does that even mean?
Well, the theory people are already out. They're always looking for messages. They said if you take every letter that you see something dripping off of, it says eat something. Or don't eat standing.
Eat standing.
Eat standing.
Well, there you go.
eat standing up.
I thought it spelled out fuck Konami.
That too.
Pachinko.
But like, it's batshit insane. I don't know what the fuck was happening in that. but there were
We
dead.
have nothing. We have absolutely nothing to go off of.
He was a god. He was like a Jesus-like figure with like a baby attached to him with a mechanical umbilical cord.
then the baby
standing,
disappeared?
standing in an empty ocean,
The-
like a dried-up ocean full of dead sea life, and there's these 5 ghostly figures floating off in the distance, staring at him. And then he starts hugging this baby, crying.
Well, okay, so
that's
the
before that.
the baby
Yeah.
disappeared, and then he was covered in ash, but he had little baby handprints all over
Yeah.
him. And then there were baby handprints in the sand that were filling up with like tar or oil, and like adult-sized handprints. It's like, what the fuck does this even mean? You're fucking crazy, Hideo, and we're not even gonna see this game for like 3 years. He doesn't even have a fucking engine for it yet.
No.
Like,
Does he have a team?
Yeah, he has
I guess.
He's in a studio.
Right,
has a
Consumer Productions.
Like, this isn't even a game; it's a trailer.
Yep.
It is just a trailer right now.
Yep.
And also worth noting that his little like the card at the end that had Hideo Kojima and Norman Reedus on it. It said cast Norman Reedus. Is that it? Is he the
one
only
man
actual
cast.
like
As of
voice
now,
in the
I think as
game?
of right
Like,
now,
Yeah.
like
I
they're
guess.
this is so early in production. Like who the fuck
Why would
knows?
they
Like you got to realize this game is only legally could have only been in development for the last like 6 months.
Yes.
yeah, just enough time to do the trailer.
But you know what?
Like-
I never because of that fact. I was like, there's no way he's even going to tell us what he's working on for like 2 years.
Yeah.
But he did this purely because he wanted to reassure
That he's
his
working,
fans
yeah,
that
he's
he is
working
back.
on something.
He is working on something, and Kojima and Konami can fucking suck it.
Yeah.
Like that was so.
The bit like
Evidently, the co-script writer with Kojima is Hitori Nojima.
Tori
And
Nojima.
He's also alumni from Kojima Productions.
well, a lot of
He
people
worked
left
on
with
the
him.
novelizations of the various Metal Gear games.
Okay.
So
A lot of talent.
And
coming from,
we know Yoji's on it as a character designer.
Yeah.
Or
Art director.
Art director. Sorry, even
there
better.
are a lot of talented people that came over from Konami with Kojima. to work on
I don't
this
know if
game.
we talked about this before the podcast. I mean, I know we talked about it at some point, but during the interview with Jeff Keighley, he brought up PT.
Yeah.
And before Hideo's translator could even say anything, Hideo was like, "No, not PT."
he just heard PT and is just immediately like, nope,
yeah.
nope.
Had nothing to do with each other.
Dude, Jeff was really trying to get deets out of him. He was like,
I don't-
so.
I don't speak great Japanese, but I think he literally just like immediately says it's not PT.
Yeah, it's not PT.
PT Janai, right? Or something like that. Yeah, it's not PT. And the translator flowered it up a little bit for him, just like, no, it's not. It's not related to it. at all.
He's like, oh, so is Norman Reedus? Like, oh, so who's Norman Reedus playing? And they're like, oh, Norman Reedus plays a character.
Yeah, no, literally. That was
Is his
was
name
answer.
Norman? And he's like, not yet. Like-
also, the technical producer is Mark Cerny.
Yep, Mark Cerny was cast.
That's interesting.
Mark Cerny was up in the front row too, so you know,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
not surprising. He's involved. But yeah, I think that covers everything, right? Did
I
we
think
miss
that
anything?
it's funny that we probably spent 3 times as much time talking about Sony as the other ones
Dude,
combined.
Sony dropped
But,
the mic this year.
Everything was fucking great.
Yeah.
It was game after game after
They
game.
did.
no
Nobody
bullshit.
came out to talk about their game because they didn't have time.
Yeah.
There's only 2
Blasting
gameplay sessions, which was
Correct.
the
God of War.
Horizon. Oh, God of War.
The beginning and the
God of
end.
War, and then,
Horizon wasn't
wasn't
live.
live,
it was
pre-recorded.
recorded. Yeah.
But yeah,
I
the
guess it was those 3.
But you know what?
No. We also had Call of Duty.
Call
Oh, we
I will
completely
say
forgot
this,
about that one.
Call of Duty. I'm a little like that Call of Duty demo. I thought looked.
How
really
do
cool.
guns work in space?
Dude, I was
wondering that myself.
I was really into that demo until like halfway through. I was like, oh wait, this is what Call of Duty is now, isn't it?
You
Yeah.
had to
And then at the
lean
end, it was-
over, like 5 minutes into the demo and ask me, "Is this Call of Duty?"
Well, it was when he got out of the
confused,
fucking
yeah.
spaceship and he's floating around with like an M4 shooting
they're
people,
thinking, like,
and I was
what
like,
is this?
oh, this is Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I was like, are they finally gonna reboot like Wing?
I mean, it looked,
Commander?
yeah,
I was looking at
it
the ship,
looked
like,
cool.
This isn't really. I was like, is this like a new Aliens game?
It looked cool, but it was a real bait and switch.
been
Because
downloading it for a
if it
while.
wasn't Call of Duty, then you would think like, oh, is this like some kind of open world space game? Like it kind of looked like he was choosing where to go in the solar system, and then he's flying around, and then all of a sudden he's like,
grappling
fuck this,
hook,
I'm gonna get out of my spaceship and float around. But now that we know it's Call of Duty, we know that that's all scripted, it's all linear, and it doesn't fucking matter. Like, whatever.
It
I
reminded
don't
me
care.
of Moonraker when they start having the space battle and just like slowly floating. That's what I was thinking it was.
You know what? Yes, it's probably very, very scripted. It is Call of Duty. But you know what? It looked pretty like a pretty cool fucking spectacle. I might be down to try
How do
it.
you shoot just
They
regular
had the,
guns in space without
the
flying?
grapple.
That's what I was saying.
We went over this in
Shot,
Firefly.
which helps a lot
Like there's a
in space.
whole episode about that.
That's true.
Okay.
There
Because
wasn't.
But his
they
gun
can
wasn't on
grapple
oxygen, so.
No, but they
footage
had
and-
to
or
find a way to
anything.
fire it. Yeah.
Metal floating
Yeah.
in space and get behind cover real quick.
I want to know if when he was flying that ship around, if he was actually controlling it, or if that was all on the rails.
Probably
Like,
right.
how much control did he actually have?
Yeah.
Was it just him
It's Rogue
controlling
Squadron.
guns, or was
No,
he actually?
it's
No, if it's anything like
It's
what
Star
it was
Fox?
in Blocks 3, then it's going to be a fucking rail sequence.
Rebel Assault. It's Rebel Assault all over again.
I think that's kind of an insult to Rebel Assault.
All right. By the way, guys, I know people in chat are freaking out. We are already downloading the Resident Evil 7 demo.
I'm glad.
It looks like it's going fast enough. We probably should be able to play it tonight. I would imagine. So
You know what? Fuck it. I'm glad that was Call of Duty because that fucking spaceship looked fucking dumb.
Yeah, it did.
I was like, I could get into this game. The spaceship kind of sucks, but I could get into this. Now I know it's Call of Duty. I'm just like, fuck
It was
it.
an
Get out of here.
It was a space F-22.
Yeah, it was a fucking
Yeah.
jet
It
fighter.
was a space F-22. That's all it was.
You don't need wings on a spaceship.
Yeah, that's true.
Fuck.
It served no purpose.
good point, Bob. Good
There's
point.
no air in space.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I might try.
I love it in space.
I'll rent it.
I was-
I might rent it just to try it, but fuck it.
I'm sorry, I just love it in space movies or space sims or anything in space, especially video games, when you bank and the flaps move.
Yeah.
In space.
Yeah.
Instead of the
Why?
engines twisting, like the flaps move and the jet travels.
Yeah.
You do these like,
don't
these,
make
like
no sense.
curved vectors.
Yeah.
and-
Don't make no sense. All right. That's it for our show tonight, guys. Is there anything else y'all wanted to bring up at all?
I love Sony.
Yeah, dude, Sony fucking knocked it out of the park. I know we had a rough time getting in some of the other conferences. I
So
really
rough
I
that we
really
didn't even
wanted-
get in fact.
Yes.
I really wanted Crispy to experience at least one of them. This is
I'm
his
glad
first
that
E3.
I'm glad having been the only one that we got into. I'm glad it was this one.
Dude,
it was
yeah.
worth it,
This is the first one I got into.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that after.
Congratulations, Bob. Congratulations, Crispy.
Thanks, bud.
Y'all had that was a very good first conference for y'all to get into.
I want to
Holy shit.
I want to say shout outs to that very professional, very friendly catering crew.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they were cool.
yeah.
Right?
I
They
felt
were so
really-
nice.
They were
We
super
were
cool.
we were well fed.
Everyone was really nice.
Yeah.
You hung out after the.
Yeah, we went to the
Yeah.
VR section. Yeah,
Shout out-
We watched Jeff Keighley interview Conan O'Brien, then Hideo Kojima.
Shout out to Chat's new buddy Conan.
Yes. Conan Brand.
Conan said he loved-
He said it.
I love you, Conan. And Conan was like, "I love you too." And pointed right at Chai.
There's footage of this somewhere. I will find it.
So there also may be a very small moment if you're watching the interview with David Cage where you see Crispy and me standing behind him
Maybe
sipping
drinking
beer.
beer, talking about if we should be standing there.
Like, I was like, shut. And then I was like, maybe I don't. I've had my embarrassing moment on TV before. And then Chai was like, "What are you talking about?" And I had to tell him about the
Connect.
the Connect event. He thought it was
Project
a Photoshop.
Motel.
Yeah, all these.
You didn't know that was real.
because he was so like stunned. I didn't think it could be real.
He didn't realize that was real. I had to break that news to him. Yeah, that's totally real. So I was like, I'm done with this. I'm gonna get out of this camera angle here.
Why weren't you eating a turkey leg?
I couldn't find. They weren't serving.
That was
turkey
Brad's
legs.
job. We didn't.
They did have a giant litter of chicken wings being carried around by
Yes.
two men.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, tomorrow. By the way, stick around after the feed. After we cut the show, we'll stream up some footage, and then by that time, we probably should have the Resident Evil 7 demo up and ready to go. Tomorrow morning, before we go to the show floor at noon. We'll be probably hanging out and watching the Zelda footage with Nintendo. So I'm assuming we'll probably live commentate that. And then we'll be on the show floor all day tomorrow. You can tweet at us throughout the day, hashtag 4PN E316. And then, of course, we'll come back. We'll share any footage we recorded, and we'll record a podcast, talk about all the cool shit we played. Should be a fun day. I feel like we've already been here for a week, and it hasn't even fucking started yet.
Yep.
2 days.
Yeah, 2 days.
Oh my god. So tomorrow's the first day of the show floor. I think we're all excited. So thanks for listening.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. That's what I'm gonna go.
Again?
I don't know where I was going with that second one.
Thanks for staying up late.
Thank you for staying up late. It is very late
Well, I
for a
mean,
lot of
someone
you.
could be listening to this in the morning.
And,
True.
And thank you, patrons, for sending us here.
Yes, thank you for helping us get here and helping us with. We upgraded some equipment, which you'll see in some of the videos throughout the week. We appreciate all of that, of course. So let's go ahead and cut it, and the podcast, and then we'll have a chance to play Resident Evil 7 here shortly. Have fun.